Guess what time it is?
What?
It's 2:22:22 on a Tuesday,
That's true.
which is when I would record a podcast, but Jason has homework.
I like it. They complete the look. I got upset when Dad took the the old-looking telephone off. I was like, Dad, no, it's part of the aesthetic. It's office core.
Does it work?
Yeah. Under the right circumstances, at least. Dude, no. Did you actually? Oh! Let's go! You called yourself! I'm calling myself. No way.
No, I can't answer though. We have feedback loop.
Why? Oh.
Hello?
Oh. Wait, no, it shouldn't be a feedback loop because it's not on speaker.
Oh, you're right.
I'll
Now,
call you.
Wait,
Hello?
we can communicate.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Hello!
Whoa, this is crazy.
I'm hearing you twice.
Yeah, because you're.
I'm hearing me twice.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking
It's
loud
like a
and it's
feed-
picking up.
Yeah.
Yo!
Yo.
Yo, it's so delayed. It sounds like there are 4 people in the room.
It's all for podcast listeners. They're calling.
They're all here.
This makes it feel like we're on like a radio station.
gang's all
Somebody's
here.
like calling.
It
in,
is.
Like, hey, it's Jason from the podcast.
The
What are you
podcast
calling in
now
for
on the
today?
radio. Quick, come up with a fake radio channel name.
93.7 The Bros.
93.7
Welcome
The
back to
Bros.
97. No.
You're tuning in.
93.7
You just tuned
The
into
Bros.
93.7 The Bros. Pew, pew, pew. Wee, 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 wee. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Welcome back to the still technically unnamed podcast. It's been a long time, but we didn't forget about you. We're still here.
I did.
Well, yeah, I put you.
I'm just kidding.
I put you into that little part in the back of my brain that's like, you know, like it like wakes you up in the middle of the night. You're like, and then you're like the podcast. But now
Right.
it's in the front. It's in the front, and it's weighing down.
It better be.
It's gonna make my head bang on the desk.
So
We're finally back, and we got some interesting stories for you because as you know, the news in the real world is kind of bleak right now. So
Is it?
Yeah, the world's kind of ending.
Oh, bleak as in like not optimistic.
Yeah. What other bleak is there?
Well, when you said that, it made it sound like it was uninteresting. Like bleak as in like bland.
Oh no. Yeah, it's very bright, but it's like
No, it's
like,
not
It's
bright.
like ultraviolet.
It's like gamma rays.
It's like it'll melt your face off, you know?
Right.
Especially if you're living in Ohio.
So we're okay. Yeah, on the nose.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about unimportant things to
Yeah, like
lighten
our
the mood.
personal life. Because we had a crazy, like if you count Friday as the weekend, last weekend was awesome. We celebrated Mario Day. I bet a lot of you guys who aren't subscribed to Nintendo's YouTube channel or Twitter or whatever probably forgot about it. What's Mario Day? It looks like Mario on the it looks like Mario. It looks like Mario
It's
on
March
the calendar.
10th.
MAR abbreviated 10 10. It looks just like Mario. It's actually extremely creative. Like I saw that when they first announced that back. I don't remember how long ago it was.
Yeah, it was like 1736 or
It
something.
was genuinely
thereabouts.
clever. 1736.
No,
what is that, a
maybe
year?
like 1492.
Galactic date. What are we talking about?
Christopher Columbus type era.
But so when did we? Dude, I'm forgetting when I planned this. But I was the one who came up with it. I know that much.
Yeah. Well, you basically called me one day and you were like, "Hey, the Mario movie is coming out, and a week before that is Mario Day." I think
Not a week, a month before.
a month. Sorry, that's what I meant.
A little less than a month.
I think you were saying something about like, oh, it'd be cool if like the Mario movie was coming out on Mario Day, and then we could watch all of
Yeah.
them. But you were saying how since Mario movie's coming out, and I've never seen the classic 1993 live
The
action
cult classic.
Super Mario Bros. Movie. That I should watch that before I watch the hopefully good Mario movie that comes out, the animated one that's coming out April 5th now.
Yeah. And we also watched the old animated one that, if you're a real Mario fan, you've probably heard of too, the Japanese one.
if you're okay, anyways.
Well, by real, I mean like
if you're a weeaboo.
if you're the kind of person who would call themselves,
if you have a strange obsession with Japanese culture.
Well, that and Mario. If you're like the type of Mario fan who would call themselves a Mario fan, unprovoked, then you probably
and unembarrassed.
Yeah.
Anyways, basically you were just like, we should watch the movie.
Yeah, we should have like
And
a
then
watch party.
I don't know if you directly came up with the idea. I think you just like mentioned we could like make it a watch party. And I was like, oh, party, so we should like do food and stuff.
Yeah,
just for fun, like snackies. But it evolved into a much uglier creature.
Dude,
and by ugly, I
talking
mean...
about the Mario movie and then saying the word evolve in my head. I heard it in Dennis Hopper's voice.
We're gonna evolve into some super
Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers.
But no, I don't remember if it was because I saw the Mario gummies, which we're actually eating right now. We have them on our desk.
Shouts out.
They're made with real
Funnable brand, Super Mario, naturally and artificially fruit-flavored
This is a bit of a tangent. They taste good, but they are there's no fruit even if they were like mystery flavor. Like I wouldn't be able to guess what fruit it is that they put in here. And it definitely doesn't taste like whatever color it is. The green does not taste green.
You know what? These are by the Ferrera Candy Company, which now owns the Wonka branded candies.
Dude, oh my goodness. Therefore,
these are Wonka adjacent candies. So
no way.
Mario is officially, it's canon. Willy Wonka is part of the Mario universe.
Those were like my two childhood obsessions was Willy Wonka and Mario.
This chair is squeaky.
And like Nyan Cat.
This chair is creaky
and
is
squeaky.
It? Yes.
Hell.
It's so creaky and squeaky.
More than mine? Mine is conditional.
Yours. I'm talking about yours.
Oh!
Yeah.
I was about to say.
You are so loud.
I'm sorry. I was about to say I didn't hear anything.
Mine is too. It's the metal sometimes moves, but yours is very squeaky. Anyways, we were talking about the Mario thing. You're taking a while to get to the point. It's been like
you brought up the chairs. The point is, I don't remember if it was the Mario gummies that reminded me, or if it was an idea I came up with completely on my own. But I was like, we can't just watch the movies sitting there and just say like, okay, let's do it. We wanted to have like an actual like Mario Day celebration. So I thought of literally everything that you could possibly do for that. And the coolest thing was probably the first idea we had, which is like how you do on Easter, you paint the eggs. And then if you do it like naturally with food coloring and stuff, you can eat them afterwards if they're boiled eggs. We did that with mushrooms, and we painted them to look like Mario mushrooms. And I guess we have the technology. We can like put pictures on screen right now. They came out pretty good. The green dye didn't show up very well. But it's crazy because we were legitimately just snacking on mushrooms while we watched the movie.
Yeah, which I would not recommend. I wouldn't recommend eating 5 whole raw mushrooms in one sitting or even per day. There's probably some kind of health hazard with that.
That's the thing. In a very meme turn of events, I was like, can we die from eating these? Because I'm the paranoid one. And then Jason, because he's the smart one who actually takes matters into his own hands. And by his own, I mean Googles a lot of the time. He actually looked it up like, can you die eating too many mushrooms?
Well, there was no clear consensus, but as with most foods, the consensus is yes if you eat enough. And we definitely 5 whole mushrooms would definitely not be enough, but it was. I wouldn't recommend it either way because you could probably just get sick from eating that many mushrooms.
Flavor-wise, I didn't get sick. Did you get sick?
No, not from the mushrooms. I mean, maybe just from the conglomeration of foods we ate, but we're getting to that.
Flavor-wise, it's surprisingly, unless you're one of those people who specifically doesn't like earthy like mushroom tastes, it's a mild enough and inoffensive enough flavor that it's just sort of like a palate cleanser between all the other stuff.
I have to come in here as an unbiased party and say that that's not true. I absolutely think that there is a lot of people who would gag at the thought of what we did. If
you're extremely open-minded.
They would gag at the thought of eating 5 raw mushrooms like we did because I would not say that they have a palate cleansing flavor. They do, at least the ones we had, they had quite a strong earthy flavor. So I would not call them palate cleansing. They're not particularly flavorful in any one way or the other, but they certainly are not like that. You would never just snack on them for fun.
But that's fine because you can easily just have it as part of a dinner, like a casserole or something. They just won't look as pretty then. They won't look because they'll be chopped up or whatever. They won't look like Mario.
We wanted to do it the Mario way.
If you want the authentic Mario experience, but that's his. I guess before we go on to the full meal and snack, the menu, we can say this. We didn't get to act on this because this was very last minute that we were playing this. Like was it the day before or the day before the day before that we actually put I think it was the day before that we put out the plan. The day before that we wrote it all up in the Google Doc and actually started acting on what we could. And then the only day that we were both here and we could go shopping and cooking was actual Mario Day. Well, and like very late the day before, but like that was too late. But so if we had more time to plan it, we had a ton of missed potential here. That we were like, oh, if only we had thought ahead. Because we didn't play as many games as we wanted to, but we did play Mario games. Because you got to play Mario games.
We played technically 2 games in total. Basically, we spent the entire day preparing all of the gimmicky foods and presentations.
But it was
for
fun.
It
was fun.
And then less time actually consuming Mario related media.
Yeah.
But
literally consuming Mario.
we spent
mushrooms.
more time preparing to consume than we did consuming. But get on to the rest of the food because I don't want to draw this on too long.
What I was going on to was our idea.
Sorry,
about,
guys,
like,
we are going to draw this on as long as possible.
What I was going to say is that our idea we had that we couldn't act on about like a drinking game with the mushrooms. So that way, if you don't like the mushrooms, it actually works in your favor. And we would like play Mario games every time, especially if you play like the RPGs where it's a measure of skill, like especially Mario and Luigi because you can dodge every attack. Every time you have to use a power up in the game, you eat the mushroom. So you try to play as well as you can to avoid eating the mushrooms. That's actually a cool idea. We didn't get to capitalize on it because what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring over Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. But Jason did not think that far ahead and he left it back in his door.
We did a similar thing anyways with the movie. When we watched the movie, just anytime they
said trust the fungus.
Anytime that there was a mushroom related reference.
They got the mushroom.
We took a mushroom bite.
Yeah.
So it was the same idea. And it became equally unpleasant by the end of the movie.
Yeah. So you can do it with any media that has the mushrooms in it. You can make a game out of it. And so then whether you like it or not, it can be a whole thing. But the full menu...
We're not here trying to give you tips on how to celebrate. This is just a story.
The full menu, we had a dinner and then we had the snacks for the movie watching. The dinner was spaghetti and meatballs, which for us is actually a big deal because our mom thinks we're babies. She cuts up our spaghetti and she puts a little chopped up meat in the sauce. It's not authentic. The sauce comes from a can. But this time, the tomatoes came from a can, but the sauce came from our sauce pot.
You gotta phrase it like this. When our mom cooks for us and makes us spaghetti, because you have to make it sound like you're not living in your mom's basement.
Oh,
like your mom doesn't.
Yeah, I'm living in my mom and dad's bonus room, and my dad would stress the dad part because he makes the money.
Anyways, and a drumstick and lima beans.
Yes, those were Mario and Luigi references, which if you play those games, I'm sure you know that.
Get it.
The beans especially.
The rest of the snacks were, we had cookies for Yoshi's Cookie, the NES game.
We dressed them up to look just like them as best as we could.
We had apples that we picked to specifically look like coloration that matched the Yoshi fruits from
Super Mario
any game that has Yoshi.
All the ones after.
Yeah, I can explain the items.
You said
because I paused for anyways. And then we had, what was it? We had nuts, in-shell peanuts. Again, a reference to Mario and Luigi RPG games. And then we had Chocola Cola.
Oh, yeah.
Also a reference to Superstar Saga.
Yeah, there's just so much food from that. We had to pull from there.
It's supposed to be, in the game, what it is, it's a cola, a drink that you make by taking the cola fruit, and then you tell it jokes, and it laughs, and that's how you brew the soda. So we actually didn't tell it jokes. That was a fatal error in our preparation of it.
Oh, man.
But the recipe we used in the end was a mixture of off-brand Coca-Cola, Sam's Cola.
Because Coca-Cola is so expensive now.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I didn't want to spend I'm not a big soda fan. I'm not a soda enjoyer.
I like root beer and cream soda, and that's it.
But I
love them. But...
I wasn't about to spend almost $3 for like a throwaway item in a like half joking celebration of a non-real holiday. So, but anyways, it was cola, guava juice, mangosteen nectar, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and lemon juice.
And it was good. Looking back on it,
it was like fruity cola basically, but like tropical fruity cola.
It was
interesting.
We didn't have enough of all of the fruits to make the exact ratio we originally wanted, but it tasted very good. Unless you're like put off by exotic fruits.
Once again, unbiased party. Some people would hate it, but probably just like cola purists that are like, this doesn't taste like my good old Dr. Pepper. This doesn't taste right.
I think the next day I thought that we could have added more lemon or maybe lime, a little bit more citrus.
Well, yeah, I just don't know how much you add before it starts. It's like the flavor equivalent of when you mix so many colors, it just becomes brown. I was afraid if we mix so many flavors together, it's just gonna taste like nothing in particular, just like syrup and carbonation.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what actual soda is nowadays.
I mean, it is, but I wanted it to have some kind of unique flavor.
But what we're definitely doing next time we do this is we need to like dilute just for color the cola with like seltzer water or cream soda or something, because we wanted to get that pinkish color because that was the color of the guava juice, and the mangosteen nectar was white, so it would have just sort of made it that lighter color. But then you mix anything with like any amount of cola and it just turns brown. Because they put all that caramel coloring
is quite strong.
and it's not even necessary.
But that was our Mario Day celebration, and well, we ended the night. Well, technically the next morning.
Well, we watched the movies. We can talk about the movie after.
Well, is there anything remarkable to say about the movies? I mean, if you haven't watched them, just watch them. If you've watched them, you already know what there is to say about them, probably. I was just gonna say we ended the night technically the next morning because it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We played Super Paper Mario and beat the Flopside Pit of 100 Trials, which is like a very end game challenge to do that's like really hard, crazy, cool, and we finally beat it.
And we did it on our first try.
First try.
And we say we because we were taking turns between
past the
rooms.
Controller.
Yeah.
Kind of
Except
multiplayer.
Jason skipped one of my turns because he had a really risky idea to not use healing items at 5 HP.
I had 5 health. That was one
and
hit
bet
from
it
dying.
all on leveling up beforehand, which heals all of your health. And the thing is, the next room, as soon as he got down to that, was my room. And I was like, no, this is your stupid idea. I'm not about to have you put all the weight on my shoulders. But it worked.
It obviously worked because we did it again, first try. So it was the right call.
It was funny, though.
It actually wasn't the right call because in the end, we didn't even end up using our healing power up that I was trying to save. So we could have used that anyways, but it was cooler that way. It was more suspense.
It was funny, too. There was that moment where I messed up my D-pad inputs and ran circles around.
Oh, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, we've been playing games. We haven't been recording them, but maybe one day that'll change. Maybe you'll see them on this channel.
Yeah, once you get a microphone for your brand new PC.
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
There's not much to talk about there.
Well, yeah, I'm PC master racing it now. I don't have a microphone, I don't have a webcam, but I have a PC with a monitor that is at a slightly unconventional aspect ratio and a very loud keyboard. If I press buttons on the keyboard, will it do stuff?
Yeah, don't press R because that'll stop the recording. So just
is B a safe key?
Why don't you click on the desktop first?
Oh, dude, smart.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, this is a hand-me-down keyboard that I used to use. You'll know if you've watched any of my older videos where my keyboard is really loud and annoying. The monitor is $3 from a thrift store, and the PC is a lot of dollars built by my hands.
But it was pretty good price compared to what he paid for his. And it's just pretty good in general. He got some pretty good parts. If I'm to trust him, he's the PC expert.
I'm no expert, but
He's the expert adjacent of the family. It is funny, though, because I have the loud keyboard, but then my mouse is a silent clicker, silent touch.
It bothers me. It makes no noise.
Dude, I double-clicked, and I did it on the menu.
So anyways.
There. You can't even hear it. I'm clicking right now.
The next topic is what? What are we talking about next?
Do you want to talk about the next Mario movie that's coming out?
We can, or we can take a Mario break if we don't want to give them Mario fatigue. Although I will say the first 3 topics that I have are Mario-related.
Dude, how do you have 3? What is the third one?
It's about Super Nintendo World.
Super Nintendo World? Dude, that is another one. Dude, we can Mario fatigue un-Mario fatigue it?
Let's un-Mario fatigue. Let's take a Mario
think that's still wrong.
break. Let's stretch our Mario arms.
Swing your
Like I'm
arms
saying, let's
from
talk about
side to
something
side.
else.
I know.
So what else do you have? You have like a million topics. You have to have these.
I have a million topics.
You should have these ready on a dime.
I have a million topics.
You've just forgotten all of them.
But most of them are still about video games or about movies that are kind of irrelevant now. There are some movies that are coming out that I was excited about and then now I'm not.
Well, if you want to work backwards, I was going to talk about the Sonic movies.
Oh yeah, the Sonic movies? Dude, we still haven't watched Sonic 2.
Yeah, and now they're making a third
Everyone
one,
says it's
right?
okay. Well, they left like a cliffhanger. That's like the only spoiler that I have.
Okay. Well, yeah, we haven't watched the second one. But
we liked the first one. I heard the second one is even better. It looks better.
Okay, I was going to comment that I haven't really heard anything about the second movie,
haven't?
and I don't know if that was just because I haven't been paying attention to it, or if it's because
I've heard amazing things.
It was overhyped and it didn't live up to it. So I was, but if you're saying that's not true and it was,
no, yeah, dude, I really want to see it.
Then I guess that's just a personal error.
Have you heard about how they're making like a Sonic Netflix animated series now?
No, but that sounds like something Sega would do. Anything to not make a video game.
Yeah, Sonic Prime. And it's funny because the first time I saw like the ad for it, the animation is not bad. But like the way the models and the backgrounds and the animation style and everything is, it looks like one fan made it in Blender and would have uploaded it to their YouTube channel.
That's typical Sega style too.
Like it's not bad. It just looks very like basic and unstylized. But and here's the thing: when you get past the actual trailer, the actual premise of the show is that Dr. Eggman has like he found another group of magic crystals. We got the ones from Sonic Mania, the OG Chaos Emeralds. He found the something sapphires this time. Ooh! And he split the world into pieces. It's a multiverse story.
Oh,
it's a multiverse
I hate
story.
multiverses.
And Sonic is traveling through the multiverse, and he finds his friends in like steampunk version of Green Hill Zone, and they're like, "Who are you? We don't know you."
I'm Sonic, you silly idiot.
Tails, it's me. You gotta know me, Tails. We're best buds.
You're not Sonic. I'm Sonic.
Yeah, but I've heard like mixed opinions about the writing.
Well,
it does sound very cliche.
Sonic Frontiers came out.
Yes, it did.
Have you heard anything about that? Because I've heard nothing about
Dude,
that.
I have, and surprisingly...
Sonic Frontiers, by the way, is the new open world Sonic game that they've been working on for the past however long. It's like Breath of the Wild, but Sonic. And at first it looked a little bit bad. Now it came out. Now I haven't heard anything on it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard things about it passively. And forgive me if I'm wrong about this, because again, just passively. I haven't played the game, and I'm not the biggest involved in Sonic the games. Like, I've only played so many. Especially the classic ones. I'm not that guy who knows anything about Sonic Adventures or any of that. But it seems like among Sonic fans, the game is actually positively received. Maybe not like amazing, but generally consensus is that it's fun. But I just remember, because for the longest time people are always doubting when a new Sonic game comes out. They expect the worst, because, there have been so many flops. Sonic 06, Sonic Boom. People can't stop talking about them. But when it first came out, and I saw it, actually, every ad I've ever seen about it, up to this day, I can just, like, convince myself, looking at the gameplay, that it's just, like, an on-the-rails, like, rhythm game. Like, it just looks like they're just showing off cool stuff, but it doesn't really look like dynamic gameplay, you know?
Yeah.
And when it first came out, too, people were talking about the hyper-realistic setting, and then Sonic's just standing there in it.
It does look goofy.
It's not even stylized like Breath of the Wild.
That's what I was going to say. Breath of the Wild makes it have this sort of, like, artistic, almost like brushstroke look to it.
And comparing the characters, Zelda, the characters at least look like humanoid, a little more detailed. Sonic is like this extremely cartoony, anthropomorphic hedgehog.
Blue hedgehog.
Like Mickey Mouse looking with the giant, connected, angular eyes. And he's just standing there, and people made like jokes about like when people would do like Unity Engine and they would put like Mario in like a hyper realistic
like Gmod maps.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is what it looks like. But I've seen a lot of people playing it who seem to have at least enjoyed it passively. Moist Critical was playing it at some point.
Yeah, I saw him play it for like 5 minutes, I think. But
you got an eyelash right there.
I haven't seen beyond that. But I do have an eyelash like right there, apparently.
Yeah, it was resting right below his eye. It fell down. But yeah, I like I said, I haven't played really any of the 3D Sonics. So I'd be interested to see how I would enjoy it, because I've always sort of had a problem with Sonic's level design, even in the 2D games. Because see, I'm a game designer, up and coming. But a lot of the Sonic games, they have this problem for me where I mentioned how it almost looks like a rhythm game, like a series of cutscenes or something that you just coordinate through in the trailers. There's a problem where like they're too showy, and there will be literal segments where you just hold right and whoa, things look cool, and then you hit a wall and then it's like, oh, kill one enemy, and now you're back to running and oh, things look cool.
Or you'll be running through this elaborate, super flashy course, and then suddenly it's like, oh, by the way, you have to jump like right now, or you're gonna die.
It's like a troll game, but it's kind of not. I like Sonic Mania because it seems to have like the perfect balance of that. Like I was like, oh, the game got me. Sometimes I actually get really mad.
It's a little bit improved, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think there's almost no way to avoid that. If you want your character to move so fast that like the screen can barely keep up, then that's gonna just be an inherent obstacle in the level design.
Yeah,
like there's no real good way to make it interactive, but also make it that flashy, because the flashiness kind of requires it to be non-interactive. You're just kind of watching it be fun and cool.
Because I watched, I don't think I said this on the podcast. I told you this in person at some point. You probably don't remember though. I watched like a guy who was like a YouTube video. He was like doing an analysis on like sort of reasons why Mario stayed popular longer than Sonic, at least in like the hyper mainstream. And one part is like Sonic has like sort of an outdated like aesthetic because they made them all super cool, but cool is so relative to the times. And it's also an inherently like isolated, like niche, like not everyone's cool, but you can love the just happy-go-lucky everyman Mario, you know? But like Sonic's design is kind of like that too. It's so hyper-focused on being fast and flashy that it's kind of alienating to the larger like platforming audience or whatever genre it's generally going for. And also, it just sort of seems like too restrictive sometimes. Like, there's only so much you can do while still maintaining that aesthetic.
Right. Well,
So-
Mario works because he's just like...
He can be anything.
He's literally just a dude. Like, he's just a human.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he's got
just a guy.
RPGs and everything. It's just Mario.
But yeah, it would be
He's just
weird. It would be weird seeing Sonic in like an RPG. It just
There
looks wrong.
are-
It looks out of place.
There are some Sonic like spin-off games that are like a slightly different genre. But again, like I said, I'm not a Sonic super fan like I am a Mario super fan.
How are
so.
you just gonna like watch him standing there like doing?
There's definitely not any turn-based RPGs. See, that's what I'm saying. They're in
Can
a
you
hole.
let me finish a sentence? Every sentence so far, I've gotten halfway
Just
through,
go.
and you've talked twice as loud as me. You couldn't just see him standing there doing turn-based combat in like these hyper like flashy Nike looking like running shoes
Yeah.
type of thing. Like it just his whole outfit looks like he's about to go run a race.
Bro.
So
That's like the most like design clash thing since you're making me think of now the what is the NBA like Niantic game?
oh yeah, we should talk about that. That's so
That's hilarious.
funny.
I have no idea about that other than what you
What
showed
is it?
me.
It's NBA something world.
It's so.
Yeah, something world. It's the latest.
They should have. You know what they should have called it? They should have called it some name. There was like maybe they have to get the rights to this, but they should have made it some pun on like Globetrotters because you know the Harlem Globetrotters they do the basketball
yeah,
tricks.
then that would be a
and you're
double crossover.
And you're because you're traveling across the map, so it's like a globe.
that would be good. But
That would actually been like, oh, that's smart. The title is justified. Nothing else is. You know.
yeah, but yeah, it's the latest venture by Niantic, the creators of Pokemon Go, to once again reuse the same exact engine
Yes.
that they've made a million games off of that same engine, but now with
It's the worst
NBA theming somehow.
Like,
you
it fit-
you collect NBA players, like you
I know.
collect human beings.
Like it fits for Pikmin and Pokemon because you're like gathering and you're exploring. But then you're just wandering around dribbling a
yeah.
basketball, and it's like, hey, anybody want to join?
The other thing you pointed out is in like Pokemon Go, you create like an avatar, you create your player. In the NBA game, the characters you unlock, it looks like you can just play as them, so you can just like walk around as like LeBron. You can just be walking around
LeBron down the street.
as LeBron James. You could be like the most like basement dwelling white dude ever, and you're just like, yeah, I'm LeBron. I'm just dribbling, walking,
Just LeBron
walking
and
through
down
my
the street.
neighborhood. It's so weird. I struggle to understand because with Pokemon Go, at least it makes a little bit of sense. Like you're exploring to like find Pokemon. With Pikmin Bloom, you're going on walks and then the Pikmin like
Planting
go.
flowers.
Yeah, planting flowers. The Pikmin go get fruits, whatever. Okay. With the NBA, it's like, you're finding basketball.
I mean, if
courts
anything,
and-
that maybe is like relatable to how like, well, no, because you have the draft now. You don't literally go around finding.
But yeah,
But like even then, you would expect your avatar to be like a coach.
you have
but
like
it's not.
you have talent scouts that look for upcoming players. But what I want to know is what is the interplayer mechanism in this game? Because Pokemon Go has like the gyms.
They just
Pikmin Bloom has the mushroom battles. Do you just like have pickup basketball games?
It's just like AI basketball games. It's just like AI.
You just, like,
and
select
you
your
tap,
player.
and
Yeah.
the faster you tap, the faster your player
You
can
select
run.
your players, and it just like tells you. It just decides. Oh, your team won.
When your team shoots the basketball, it like goes in slow mo. It's like tap faster to improve accuracy.
You can like the basketball is like moving closer around them, and you're like
it goes in and it's swirling around the edge. It's like tap,
tap to settle into the rim.
tap to settle in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude.
Niantic is something. I have a lot of feelings about that company.
Dude,
but
they're so they could do. They're just so.
They just-
it's like the Sonic. They're trapped. They've got their gimmick and they're stuck in
they
it.
come to what they come across to me as a company that's not a game design company but a software company.
Yeah.
They created software, really great software for making a game-like interface with using map location services. They created that as a software company. And they have that backbone, but they don't have the front end, like the design, the game designer type of people to be able to actually make a fun game surrounding that back end that they've developed, which is pretty strong.
So that's why
But
you
they
need the
don't-
Nintendo.
Like they don't have something creative to go on top of that. And now, when Nintendo works with them, like Pokemon Go, it's sort of just like a layer above that. Like Nintendo
Yeah.
is just telling them make a Pokemon themed game, but I wonder how much control Nintendo directly has on the game. And I still think there's something lacking in terms of actual game design inspiration in the games because they're just kind of cut and paste cookie cutter at this point. At least they get better. I mean, they've been updating like Pikmin Bloom, for example. At first it was kind of just like Pokemon Go cookie cutter, but it has been getting better. But then the NBA thing, it's just like it's clear that it's just like a money hole.
It's I now that we were talking about it, though, I almost want to like check back in, and it's just like, who even's gonna be playing it? How am I gonna find this information?
Right,
Without just like going to their website.
Because nerds would love Pokemon Go and Pikmin Bloom. And especially because Pikmin Bloom is recognizable for the fact that it's based off the same engine as Pokemon Go. So that'll transfer a lot of players. But I don't know how many people in the same ballpark, the same circle as Pokemon Go would want to play an NBA-themed game. But also it completely depends on how good the actual game is. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems dubious to me.
It's just such a weird idea even.
But let's just say there's better NBA-related games you could play than NBA Free Run World, whatever it's called. I can't remember.
Dude, this is funny though, because I still had more to say about Sonic, but it's actually probably good that we took a break because we talked about, the movie and the Sonic Frontiers, which is like, I'm done with those. But it's interesting because now it's like we have a Sonic break inside we have a Niantic break inside the Sonic break inside the Mario break.
Yes, and now we can close all the brackets and come back to the Mario scope.
No, because I did say I was gonna say I have a little bit more to talk about Sonic.
Oh, so okay, we're closing just one bracket and we're going back to the Sonic.
There's a few like little interesting side stories about Sonic, like that the original guy who was in charge of the Sonic Twitter, because like all the Twitters have their personalities now. Wendy's like really made it a big thing.
That's sort of one of the topics I want to talk about as well.
Yeah. The original Sonic Twitter like personality, they retired, and they actually like said their name as like, this is who I am. It's like, I've been running the Sonic account. It's been great tweeting with you guys, but this is the end of my story. Have fun Sonicking, guys. I cringily rephrased that, but yeah, it was like this whole departure thing.
Did you say have fun Sonicking?
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't think any other company would even let someone do that. They would be like, no, you can't break the character. It
depends, because that's a whole nother conversation about
most
Twitter,
probably don't even have like one real person behind it. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't always just him, but like it's probably a conglomerate behind all these Wendy's and all the other
bigger
ones.
companies, yeah. But I think a lot of the times it's one person who's actually making the posts. Yeah. And then they have maybe a board of writers or at least reviewers before they make posts.
They type up like a few word tweet and they send it to the board of directors like, we will evaluate your tweet before.
Yeah.
Approval.
But then there's things like Opera GX that make me wonder if some of these companies are just letting one single person do every.
Oh, what is Opera GX doing?
It's just the most. I don't even know how to describe it.
Like off the wall, offhand.
It's the most Twitter thing you could imagine. They just post memes and stuff. Like they just post the dumbest stuff from the official Opera GX Twitter account, because Opera GX is like opera for gamers, so they're doing like gamer memes and funny stuff, but. It's wild. That's a whole nother topic.
It's like when I found out that dictionary.com like gets really political apparently on their Twitter. And it's like, I don't necessarily disagree with their politics sometimes, but they do it in such a way that it's just annoying.
That's so
weird.
They
apparently get really political.
Wait, dictionary.com?
Yeah, dictionary.com.
What? In what context? They're a dictionary.
They have like a Twitter account, and they like reply to stuff with their political opinions.
Don't they kind of have like a... sort of like a almost journalistic, like they have articles and stuff that they post, but isn't it usually word related?
Yeah, usually.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
I'll have to look into it because I've only seen a few things, but yeah, they're entitled to their opinions. Like I said, I don't even necessarily disagree with them. I just found it weird because they're just the dictionary.
That is weird. That's very strange.
But
are we back to Mario or?
I was going to say I found out when I was snooping through all this Sonic news that. They did. I forgot what it was on. It was a re-release of Sonic 3, and they changed the music, and people are theorizing about why, and they think this proves that Michael Jackson. Sorry, I blew in your face.
Just breathed directly into.
They think this proves that Michael Jackson had something to do with the soundtrack, because everyone says he was involved in the soundtrack. And so
Michael Jackson?
Yeah, this has been long established, bro.
Okay, well, I've never heard this lore.
But they changed the music in this re-release of Sonic 3 on like some collector's edition type thing. And people are saying it must have something to do with copyright. But like nobody even knows exactly what it is. And it's just this long pipeline of theories. And it reminds me of like, I told you about how like Namco can't use Miss Pac-Man anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's just like this huge dumpster fire, like trail of like,
that's why
this connects to this, so you can't use this anymore.
You gotta like, you can't even, that's why licensing other IP is such a big deal, like with Smash Bros. That's why it's such a tricky thing to and it's such a difficult process to add DLC characters from other games because there's just so much involved in it. In fact, Smash Bros. Probably has its own board of lawyers, literally, for that game.
Dude.
Just to deal with all of the licensing and copyright and stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
and there's actually more stuff on here that sort of dabbles back on the licensing stuff. Like even the Miss Pac-Man. Like I'll get back to that because did you hear about the new Pac-Man game that came out? It's not new. It's a what do you call it? When they revamp it. What's the word? Why is my brain?
A remake.
Remake. Yes. Well, geez, why do that?
You said a fancier word. A revamp.
I might as well say it here because it's not like I have a lot to say about Pac-Man World, whatever the remake subtitle is. But I do want to play it though because I've heard it's a good game. I'd actually love to play that game. 3D Pac-Man platformer. Remade, and they excluded Miss Pac-Man from it, and it's just like some generic Pac-Wife character that's different.
Yeah.
That's legally distinct, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just hilarious that they had to do that, and also kind of sad, especially when you know the full story, and it's like...
Are you gonna tell them the story, or are you gonna leave it on a cliffhanger?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you care to hear the full story, but basically...
Abbreviate it. You're not very good at
that.
The
original Miss Pac-Man was technically made by a different company. It was like a bootleg almost, but Namco sort of like offered to like release it officially, but they never really had the rights to it. And some company that was like made our Swag Genesis. Now I have to explain that. They asked through that company essentially, I think, to have Miss Pac-Man on the collection along with other Pac-Man games. And through some series of things, it became apparent after Namco kept using Miss Pac-Man that they didn't really own the rights. And so there was like a legal battle, and the company that originally made the first game, the arcade game, won them. But then at some point they sold them to the company that made like the
Swag Genesis.
The Swag Genesis. And now some bootleg like collector game mini console company owns the right to Miss Pac-Man. And they are like super aggressive about not letting anyone use it unless they get a ton of money and all this stuff, licensing agreement.
Footnote, Swag
royalties.
Genesis is code for those bootleg, as you said, bootleg collector consoles that are like knockoff. They're like licensed, but they're just like basically emulators, but physical emulators that contain a collection of some retro games and then some games that are just weird bootleg, bizarre, obscure,
like we have
like Jack's P,
which
is a game on our
feels
Swag
like a game
Genesis.
demo.
I wonder if you can find anything about it on Google, or if it's that bootleg that it's literally...
No, there's no way.
I'm actually convinced that they might have just developed that game just for the Swag Genesis to pad it out with more content.
No, because it's like old too. Like it doesn't feel like something someone would make nowadays.
But
so it's like they've dug up like some archaic...
I think they hired an engineer, a software engineer, to learn like the assembly, learn the chipset for the Sega Genesis,
insane.
Just to make a new retro game. Kind of like what David Crane, creator of Pitfall, is doing now. He's making Atari games in the year 2023.
Write a little asterisk with that. We got to talk about that.
But yeah, I feel that's what it seems like to me, because it's so poorly made.
But it's hilarious. We got to play Jack's P sometime. And then like there's just also weird choices.
I looked it up.
No, wait.
Jack's P, and they have the Swag Genesis, the At Games. That's the name of the company that makes all these.
Why is there a DeviantArt?
They made the Atari one too.
It's a review.
It's a review that's posted on DeviantArt.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, Jack's P. So it's only coming up for. It looks like it's exclusively made for the At Games Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it's
Swag player thing.
That is so hilarious.
It's crazy.
But that's gonna be our first playthrough on this channel. It's gonna be Jack's.
If you can find a way to capture.
You know what would be hilarious?
Record the TV screen.
Exactly. It would be perfectly.
It would be. It would be the best way to record
quality.
footage of that gameplay.
The last thing I was gonna say about Sonic, though, this is the last thing.
Okay.
Is that
me.
I was going to say that Nitrome. Do you know their game? What is it? Leap Day or something?
Yes. Where they post a new level every day.
When I was going down this like Sonic rabbit hole looking at news for Prime and Frontiers, just because that was what was like popping up new, I found on their Twitter account they had pitched an idea to Sega to have like that exact same game but for little Sonic levels every day, and they actually showed a working prototype of it and it looked awesome. But apparently they turned down the idea.
Classic. Well, because it was actually good, and Sega doesn't want to release a good Sonic game.
Well, no, I mean, they let fans make a game for them. I think they must have had some...
Nitrome is too much of an established game development company. I mean, they have a portfolio.
So instead, they're making Shovel Knight Dig, which looks cool, dude. It is like a full-fledged game.
Yeah,
I thought it was like a minigame. It has boss fights. It has power-ups.
Yeah,
it has I thought it just looked like a one-and-done like dungeon crawler digging game.
If you don't know about Nitrome, look up Nitrome, read find out all the lore, dig into the history. Nitrome's super cool.
Preserve their Flash games,
Very
do
cool
everything.
Company. They are in the process of doing that now. They're working with some other company to port all their games to HTML5 from Flash, so they can be playable on the modern web landscape.
Yes, dude, they're the kings of Flash games. They have extensive library of
Honestly,
incredible
they are
games.
probably a huge proponent of the retro style, like pixel art style Flash games.
Yeah. They have it's like Neo SNES. It's like if there was an area between like 16-bit.
Yeah, it's a Super Nitrome system.
Well, I guess that would be like the 32-bit. I was gonna say between 16-bit and 64-bit, but they kind of skipped that era. Like they had 32-bit. Like I think the Genesis was 32-bit. So yeah, it kind of looks Genesis-y. It has a poppier look to it. Maybe it's 48-bit. I don't
think that's a thing.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be.
The 16-bit is referring to the processor.
Yeah, I know.
And that's how big the instructions are in the bytecode language. So 48-bit would be a very awkward multiple, I think, but who knows. Anyways, the Mario movie.
The Mario movie. What was your first opinion when you saw the initial trailer?
I mean the first trailer was underwhelming, I would say. They didn't show much, but maybe that was their idea, was to not reveal much in the first trailer. I don't know. It wasn't super exciting to me, the first trailer. The thing that I liked most about each of the trailers so far has been the music. The soundtrack sounds so cool. Beyond that, I don't know.
Would you say you've gotten more excited with each new trailer now that you've seen more?
Slightly. But you're going to say that you had the opposite because
Luigi's
just locked in a cage. And what is a Luigi?
Mamma mia, Luigi, what are you doing?
I already know. No. Let me predict all of your thoughts right now, and then you can say them.
Okay, there's a meta thought in there. I'm going to give you that hint. You better get the meta thought.
Listen, guys.
Is that what I sound like?
Let's say, hypothetically,
I'm not Ben Shapiro.
the name of the movie is Super Mario Brothers. Brothers with a period, okay? Bros with a period. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, that all of the trailers show Mario separate from his brother.
That's too good.
Luigi,
that scares me.
In a cage somewhere in Bowser's castle.
I'm actually scared.
Let's say, hypothetically, that the trailers never show Mario
Do I
and
need to
Luigi
perform an
together.
exorcism?
Basically, his beef is that Luigi is like the damsel in distress in all the trailers, and he doesn't seem to be working with Mario in any way, and therefore that violates the title of the movie, which is,
hypothetically, Super Mario Brothers.
No, here, let me explain. First thing I was going to say is I thought it was crazy that you predicted me. That was the meta thing. I was hoping you would actually even say that you predicted that I was going to say that it's crazy that you predicted it. But the thing is, that is kind of the opposite to me. Like, I was blown away. I don't want to say blown away, but certain aspects of it blew me away. The first trailer, even the trailer before what do you call the big rectangles?
what? Poster?
I'm messed up today.
Big rectangles.
Those big rectangles, you put them on the wall. The trailer blew my mind. I said trailer again. The rectangle blew my
The
mind.
trailer that doesn't move.
The poster looked amazing. Except Mario looked a bit weird from the back. He looks better from the front. That's his good side.
Right.
But I love that first trailer too for a number of reasons. And then actually I became more concerned as I saw the new trailer. So it is the opposite. And you said the music was a big highlight. It is to me now. But when I heard the first trailer, all I could think of is super generic boom, movie style rendition of the did it, which just does not work.
No, but at the end, when they show the title of the movie, the down.
Yes, that's good.
That like orchestral, epic sounding rendition of the.
But it's very generic. It reminds me of when.
I mean, it sounds cool.
It reminds me
It's
of.
less generic than the same exact themes that have been in all of the video games over and over remixed.
It reminds me of when Marvel realized they couldn't make a new theme song for Spider-Man for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so they just tried to make Spider-Man. It was like, Spider-Man, bringing the violins. And it was
Okay. No, but the orchestral rendition of that song is pretty good.
But it feels so generic and forced. It feels.
I think you just have a problem then.
I think
Clearly this is a
Hollywood has a
pattern.
problem with just making heroes having upbeat, happy-sounding themes. That's who Mario is. He's not.
Wait. Whoa.
It's a me. Let's a go. It's a me.
So
let's a go.
Would you rather the trailer just ended in like?
Well, not necessarily because that's not a good lead out, but something more uplifting. Mario can be drama and a sense of pep.
It was.
You know?
It was definitely peppy. I think. Okay.
It's just generic. Well, at
Jonathan,
least do the
Jonathan.
drama and pep in a unique way. It sounded
This
so
might
like
be-
Hollywood trailer is like a genre now,
This
and
might
I don't
be
like
a
it. It's
misinterpretation on your part. You have some emotional disconnects with reading emotions and moods and things, right? Okay.
no fault of your own. It's okay. But I think this might be an emotional disconnect thing.
Listen, I
think
know
getting-
this is going to be hard to hear, but I think your opinion, the subjective thing you have, is objectively wrong.
No, I just think you're misinterpreting it. I don't get those vibes at all. I get that you're saying that the genre, the sound of it is played out. Okay, sure. But I don't think it sounds bad.
But no, yeah, I agree.
And I think that's okay. The bottom line is that the movie has to make money. Like,
yeah.
They're not.
That's why they got Chris
They're
Pratt
not going to come out here and like
instead of Charles
make the whole
Martinet.
soundtrack of the movie like chiptune. That's a bad idea because there's going to be some 80-year-old man who's like, Jimmy, why'd you make me come to this? My hearing aids are going off again.
Honestly, an 80-year-old would be like, oh my goodness, is this Iron Man? They brought out the trumpets and the violins again. I can't handle that much action. It gives me heart palpitations.
Well, if there's one thing we can agree on, at least, it's that Marvel is bad.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't want to skip ahead into that because I still want to talk about the Marvel. That's on my thing.
Well, hold on.
That's on my thing.
We've been going for like almost 50 minutes.
Yeah, I still
now.
want on the Mario movie. No, dude, because remember there was hours.
20 minutes. There's 20 minutes.
Oh, you really counted it?
20 minutes, approximately. I think it was like 20 minutes when we actually started the episode. So
okay.
Anyways, Mario. Yeah,
but yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I just think that none of the trailers have revealed almost anything about the actual plot of the movie. So it's all of them have just been like blue balling. So I don't think that the whole Luigi thing doesn't concern me because I feel like I don't even know what the first thing about this plot. So I don't think anything that they've showed me is something that's significant to take into account.
Here's the thing that concerns me. As I'm trying to find my notes.
And again,
on the Mario movie. Oh my goodness, they're almost a whole page.
All of
the Mario movie.
All of the trailers so far have literally seemed to just be a rehash of the previous trailer.
Yeah.
Like this latest, the latest and final trailer that they released. It was like, I was kind of excited. They were hyping it up. I was like, okay, maybe this is actually going to show us like even an inkling of the plot. But it was literally the previous trailer part 2. Like it was the same exact. It was like, here's Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom. Here's Luigi trapped in a cage. And then I'm not done. Here's Luigi trapped in a cage. And then, whoa, they're on carts now. Oh my, they're on Rainbow Road. And we're not going to explain why. We're not going to explain why they're Mario Karting right now. But look, it looks cool. There's cars. There's 3D models of
Jason,
cars.
I know you're like a very over an okay, I'm sorry. I know you're a very over analytical guy. You think hyperlogically.
You're spitting on my face actively.
You have to put all the pieces together neatly, and they have to have a distinct to and here.
To and here?
To and fro, here and there. I'm trying to make fun of you, and I'm making fun of myself. So it's okay. You don't think the way most people do, but other people have this
Says
thing.
the guy who's like, "Oh, Luigi's in a cage. Luigi's not gonna get out."
No, he's not even British. What is that?
Luigi's not
What
gonna
is
get
that?
out. Luigi's gonna be stuck in the cage.
Oh my word. Okay. You completely derailed my.
Yeah, you were making fun of me. So,
you are the enemy of the
we
podcast.
moved on
All the
now.
worst things about me in the podcast are brought on by you.
No, because these are
More on this later.
this is bro's funny moments right here.
Bro's funny moments. Yo, hey, look. I know we're getting even more off topic than we already were before. But if you're out there, I need you to help make this channel popular. Make Jason and Jonathan funny moments compilation, bro host.
Do those things where
top 10.
They take funny audio.
Jason
and
telling
animate
Jonathan
it.
to shut up for 20 seconds.
Yeah, and then just animate it, and then it will go viral.
Oh yes, oh my goodness, do like Game Grumps animated for us.
Yeah, and then you'll probably get more subscribers than us, unless you reach out first and we post it on our channel and we give you credit, but then you won't get any subscribers.
Exactly.
So either way, it's a lose-win for somebody.
Exactly. Please be our puppets as we ascend the escalator
we
of fame.
won't pay you. It is fan work.
Yes,
so
you feel it in your heart. That's your payment. It's exposure.
It's exposure. It's a lot of exposure. 5 whole viewers, 5 unique viewers.
But what I was gonna say is, I feel like some people, not you, because you're a little different. I'm done with that joke.
Okay, let's go with it.
Can deduce that there was a little bit more of the plot expanded upon.
Sure, I'm exaggerating, but
For example, we know now that Luigi meets up with other characters, and that surely leads to something. It is shown that Donkey Kong and Mario team up at some point, so this whole rivalry that they're like showing ends on a high note. And in case you haven't noticed, in all the kart races, all of the competitors, until Bowser sends his Koopas in there, are Kong families. So it's clear that that's an extension of the competition they were having before, is this kart race, whatever the context for that may be. And there was a brief snippet where they said that the reason why Bowser's minions were on the track was because they were invading it, because they found out Mario was there. It was like, let's take over this race.
well, yeah, but
So there's a bit.
boiled down, what you basically just said is, again, Bowser bad guy, Mario gun save world, Mario racing.
Well, boiled down, Luigi has been in a cage for the entirety of all the trailers. And he's been excluded from every single poster that isn't just him cowering next to a bunch of skeletons. There is a poster of all the characters sitting on a mushroom, basking in the light of the Mushroom Kingdom, and Luigi isn't there! And I am so upset!
Okay.
Mario
well,
and Peach and Toad are all there!
there goes a solid 2 minutes of the podcast that you're gonna have to cut out.
Okay.
That's some heavy clipping right there.
But no,
That's some heavy
I've been
clipping.
sending Jason, I almost want to get up when I'm talking about my reaction to the first trailer because it gets me excited. And also because when I watched it the first time, I was walking around an antique shop in Alabama.
Are we remembering the first trailer wrong? Because from what I remember of the first trailer, it's, whoa, what is this place? Don't eat that mushroom. That mushroom's poisonous.
No.
Oh, that mushroom's fine. That mushroom's fine.
That was the ending, though. It
then-
started with
and then-
Bowser
okay,
versus the
okay.
Penguins.
Okay, Bowser goes, I'm Jack Black, and give me the Power Star now, or I'm gonna breathe fire on you.
Jason, I sent you an essay about this, remember? It's
And then-
very in character to
And
Bowser's
then-
old appearances.
Can I finish the recap just so we make sure we're on the
Yes.
same page? And then the Penguin goes, "We shall not yield." And then they throw snowballs, and it's like, meh, 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 meh. And then he kills them all. And then we go. Well, there's like this little interlude where Bowser's like, "I gotta get all the stars. Me hungry."
Who's gonna stop me?
Yeah, and then Mario goes, "Whoa!" And then Toad's like, "Don't eat that mushroom." And then Mario's like, "Let's go." And then that's the end, right?
Dude, that's why I didn't want to say. I said the poster blew me away. The trailer didn't blow me away, but it made me realize that even though I had no context on the actual story, at least at large, I mean, obviously Bowser's the bad guy. Mario's got to do something. It made me realize that they had a firm understanding of what they were going for in terms of the general aesthetic and world building. Because I sent you an essay about how this is extremely in character with Bowser's early depictions of back like around in the age of Super Mario Bros. When that was the newest game. He is this tyrannical ruler who is trying to take the Koopa Troop and overcome all these lands, and Princess Peach just so happened to be one of them. And there's a lot of stuff that I like about it. Like there's a lot of, because people say, oh, Princess Peach, she's this ruler, how come she gets kidnapped so easy? How come no one can fight back? How come she keeps letting this happen? It clearly, there's the trailer, some people hypothetically don't like this, that the princess is being empowered. But
wait. Ben Shapiro actually talked about the Mario.
No, that's
movie.
why I said that.
Is that
yeah.
why? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. But if you look at the Mario Adventure comics, like Princess Peach broke out of Bowser's castle. There's a ton of side stories and old comic books and stuff that show Princess Peach being incredible. This is if they were woke, they've been woke. Like, sorry, Ben. I am worried that they might take it too far in certain aspects, but I'll get to that later.
Well, yeah.
She better get kidnapped at some point, because then they're just straying too far from the story.
Yeah, either they're just going to change the whole plot of Mario, which isn't necessarily bad, but if, this is where I'm on board with you with Luigi, if Peach is more of a central character to the plot, in terms of
that's what I'm
collaborating with Mario, then
it's the Mario
then Luigi
brothers.
is, then that would be insane. Like, if it's the Mario and Peach movie, not the Mario and Luigi movie, that would be sad. As a Luigi diehard,
everybody's always in their implied romantic relationship stuff. What about sibling relationships? That's what I live for.
Yeah,
me and my bro.
Why can't Mario and Luigi
pat me on the
kiss
back? They gotta hear
screen?
it.
I was going to.
Why can't they unplug a toilet on screen? They probably will.
Yeah, I read your essay when you sent it to me. I guess I don't really have anything to add to that.
But no, and also because
I guess for me it's just like that. That's like the bare minimum is that they get that stuff right. So I guess I wasn't really impressed by it. It was like,
no,
if they don't, no, what?
No, I was just gonna say, I thought that it showed they knew a bit about the world, because I said the penguins have been a consistent Mario NPC, but they've never been shown a kingdom. But it's been historically shown that that's the ruling structure of the Mario world.
That is
they
cool.
have kingdoms.
But you know that Nintendo's closely working with the design team for the movie. Because...
But no, even then, like, it feels so Super Mario Bros. Mario. Like, I feel like they lost that aesthetic, but they brought it back. Like, they reimbursed it.
Well, part of it is also because the new Mario games are so flat and one-dimensional in terms of the characters and the world.
Odyssey isn't. I've been playing Odyssey.
Yeah, I'm talking about, like, we're talking about, like,
new
the new Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
They are literally just the most basic, bottom-of-the-barrel, like...
Yeah.
See,
that's what made me think they forgot.
That's what I'm saying. And with
that's why I got so excited.
With games like Odyssey and 64 and Sunshine, where and all the RPG games where there's unique and Paper Mario where there's unique characters and stuff, like they have to draw from those, or else the movie's literally gonna be boring. Like they don't have enough different characters and different worlds to incorporate to make the movie interesting. So that's why it wasn't that surprising to me, because it's like, well, obviously they can't just make a movie literally World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. And call it a day. Like it's gonna be boring.
Yeah. That said, that was one of my complaints with the first trailer. The thing that I've always liked about Mario is that it was this story. It was like people have described it a fish out of water story, but I've always viewed it as sort of albeit more cheerful, sort of a fish out of water surrealist story. Think like Alice in Wonderland or what is the one? Oh, dude, Yellow Brick Road. What's it called?
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Why did I forget that?
No, it's called Yellow Brick Road. Yeah.
Well, I knew you'd get it from that. But when there's this part where the princess is training Mario, it's like they put a tutorial in the Mario movie, specifically to represent the game in the series that at least needs a tutorial. The first level is a tutorial. And the whole like theming of it just feels wrong too, because as a movie that's that sort of genre, imagine if the Good Witch was like, here, I'm gonna teach you how to fight flying monkeys for like an entire plot point, and then you go. By the way, here's the secret to how to the Wizard of Oz. He's a man behind a curtain. All this stuff. And like imagine if Alice in Wonderland, the first thing you do once she goes through the door after eating the mushroom, I haven't read it in a while. She immediately meets up with the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat, and they're like, hey, we're going to follow you around and help you along your journey. It's like, no, it's supposed to be a little chaotic. It's supposed to be this foreign world, but you have Mario thrown in. And the thing I always liked about Mario is because it was cool because, you know, the modern day, a lot of heroes, especially in like fantasy settings, like, it's the chosen one. The prophecies have foretold of him.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like that.
Mario's not the chosen one.
No, I like it because he is organically. His life, just as a normal person, has trained him for this. Think about it.
Well, he's a chosen one, but not because of any merit that makes him special.
Yeah, he's special because everyone is. It's super cool theming. They probably came up with this by mistake back in the day, but it's just super cool theming. Because think about it.
Yeah, let's just be clear. I don't think they had any of this in mind when they were making Super Mario Bros. For the NES.
But they can have it in mind now that they're making the movie. But think about it. He's an athletic Italian plumber who, while working on a plumbing job, falls into a fantasy world where people travel through pipes, and by hitting magic flying blocks that are perfectly within gymnastic jumping range, can collect pizza toppings that give you magic powers. Like, it's a fantasy land that was built around him, just enough that he already knows what to do, but still has to learn how to be a hero. It's like if we, because it's the brothers, started a game development company. And one day while we were writing
a segue!
We were writing our game engine, and we got sucked into the computer screen, and we entered this world where everyone travels through like command terminals, and there are these flying targets that you can kick hacky sacks at to get watermelon Kool-Aid that lets you fly. Like, that would be what this is like.
Let's just be clear. I would be the Mario there because you would not know a single command in the terminal.
Yes, you would be the Mario. I would be the plumber's apprentice. But I was putting you in Mario's shoes. Mario's shoes. We gotta talk about that.
You are both showering me with spit and pummeling me with air, breath.
Sorry.
Face this direction. You don't have to face directly at my nose and mouth as you infect me with your diseases.
All I'm saying is they took away the sweet and cinematic serendipity of Mario being this plumber in this world of pipes and all this other stuff that sort of makes him interesting. Like, I've always felt like the reason why he works as a hero is because he's just this blue-collared everyman. He sees, oh, someone's in trouble, I'll help him. You know, it's just another jump down. Yeah,
and he's faster than the others.
But here he enters this world, and the closest we even know that he even makes a connection to did you want me to keep singing?
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. So long.
Wait, you're talking for like 30 minutes about Mario's
That's why I'm trying to get through it. He enters this world, and the only way we even know that there's any connection that he makes mentally between all this world of pipes and the fact that he's a plumber is that in that one scene before he travels through the pipe, says, "Oh, I like this pipe." That's it. And then apparently, he doesn't even ask how the pipes work or anything. He just gets flown around town, which I'm hoping the movie elaborates on the fact that he's a plumber and makes this sort of important. But also, I hope they don't make him like this reluctant hero who's like, oh, this place is weird. I don't want to do this. I hope they don't make him 1993 movie Mario.
Well, that would,
especially without his Luigi.
That would be more the Luigi character, or they would fit more for Luigi.
Yeah, exactly.
But Luigi's in a cage.
Exactly. That's the thing. Look, people have been dissing on Princess Peach for being a damsel in distress for years. And I'm really hoping that the message they picked up from that isn't that girls shouldn't be damsels in distress. It's that damsels in distress are boring when that's their only point. But that seems to be what they've done to Luigi. And everybody's out here talking about, oh, Luigi's so endearing. Look at him. He's scared. He has a personality. Oh, I hope Mario saves him. Oh, I love shipping him with Bowser. Look at them staring in each other's eyes.
What?
That's a thing. People have been shipping Bowser and Luigi. Even though that canonically makes no sense. They've been doing it.
It makes no sense on another
Let me tell you, if you're one of those people, you don't love Luigi. Sorry.
You just broke the test.
It was already broken. I just revealed
but
it.
It looks like you broke it.
You don't love Luigi.
You also peaked the microphone. We need to move on.
You don't love Luigi.
Can I be your manager for a second and say that we need
Let
to
me
move
finish
on?
up. You don't love Luigi. You love Luigi like the girls who like treated me like a puppy dog because I was autistic loved me back in middle school. If you loved Luigi, you'd want him to be by Mario's side.
Okay.
All the other Mario merchandise has them as media, has them as brothers who work together. That's their dynamic.
So you wanna talk
but
about-
here, they're separated since the very beginning of the movie, since the entrance into the Mushroom
You
Kingdom.
want to talk about MrBeast?
I also don't like that they set up so many plot points, and
Okay.
I have no idea how they're going to cover all of them, and they're slightly shorter than average.
If
movie
you want to
runtime.
hear an extended cut of this podcast where we only talk, and by we I mean not me, only talk about the Mario movie for 3 hours straight, because that's probably how much time you'd need to finish a sentence, you can go check our second channel at the podcast 2.
Okay. Before you think that's serious, real talk. In case you haven't checked the timestamp, this one's going to be 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds long. I mean, at this point, we might as well.
Yeah, because 2 hours of that was already spent on talking about Mario as a character design principle.
You kept interrupting me during some of those points, so I was trying to make
because
those
I was
right
trying to give you the nod that maybe we should move on from an in-depth analysis. Like
The problem is, this
go
is-
ahead, get your PhD, write your thesis on Mario's character design. But this is
now.
not
The problem
time and
is,
place
this is
for it.
actually like the biggest thing going on in the world right now that isn't...
To you, yes.
No, like positive, like in media especially.
To you, yes.
Honestly, I think in general. But we can move
Well,
on.
if we were
And
normal
talking
people,
about
we'd
too
talk
much.
about like the Super Bowl or something. But
The Super
so
Bowl
how about
was
the
boring.
Kansas
The Super
Chiefs
Bowl
guys?
was boring.
Actually,
this year.
the Super Bowl was bad because anyway.
Well, the commercials, which is usually what people talk about long after. Well, not long. It's sort of like mid after, were nothing special.
Speaking of
And the game was disappointing. Yeah.
the commercials, and somebody who would be the kind of guy to try to buy a Super Bowl commercial, MrBeast.
MrBeast.
Do you want to talk about MrBeast?
Yeah, there's a few things we could talk about him. He started doing his Team C's thing since we last talked about him. But that's a while
I don't
ago
even
now.
know what happened with that.
Yeah, I didn't hear. It did not get as much
didn't-
buzz as Team Trees.
Yeah, it didn't make the same ripple, probably because it was like the sequel, so it was a sort of overshadowed.
I hope
but-
it did well though. I'm actually more concerned about the ocean than the trees at this point, even if just
Well,
slightly.
the oceans are the trash cans that need to be taken out. The trees are like more like the preventative measure, if anything.
Yeah.
But
So you manage your troops.
let's see. So MrBeast, so you know
It's
the whole controversy about the
Him
blind,
existing. What?
about the curing people's blindness video, right?
Oh yeah, he's the Antichrist. He's performing
yeah.
miracles.
Well,
Or he's just doing it for fame. So
okay,
all
well,
the good in the world doesn't matter.
It sounds like you have an opinion on it. So do you want to
Yeah.
share that opinion and articulate that?
I see. Here's the thing. I have opinions from multiple perspectives on this. I don't know why people would be upset that somebody is going out of their way
Can
to
I actually
like.
preamble this really quick?
Yeah, yeah.
I specifically wanted to talk about this, not because I care that much or because I have something super interesting to bring to the table, but because I know on a previous podcast we did talk about MrBeast.
Well,
and-
actually, yeah, this is funny for going where I think you're going.
Specifically, we talked about moral ambiguity with MrBeast's
yeah.
character, and I mentioned some of the things that he does that kind of rubs me the wrong way,
Yeah.
and I'm preambling.
I was just saying.
You
yeah.
can have a co-amble later. Some of the things he does that rubs me the wrong way, some mannerisms and stuff, and I think I concluded saying generally I think he's fine. I think he's just it might just be honestly that he's not the most charismatic or amicable person, which I think is
Yeah.
why he has a sort of posse of people that is really most of his personality on the channel is like the people he surrounds himself with, and that might just be what like the weird vibes I get from him is that he's a little bit off, or a little bit not like the most personable character,
Yeah.
but. That's why I'm bringing it up, just because we've had this discussion before, so I thought it'd be interesting to revisit it, given that years have passed since that, and there's new stuff he's done, new light on this, and other people seem to be talking about this conversation now, which I don't think it was very much talked about before when I was mentioning it. So now other people seem to notice the same thing that I was talking about, although it's a little different now. But anyways, you can go ahead now with your co-amble.
Yeah, she kind of made me like. I started thinking about riding unicorns in space and stuff.
Okay, so you
Dude, look at it's floating.
Okay. You didn't listen to anything
I'm
I
sorry.
said, basically.
No, I did, but it's like when you read a book and then you realize you weren't paying attention.
Yes.
It's like the opposite.
So
of that.
you didn't
No,
listen to
no. I said it's
You
the
didn't-
opposite
you
of that.
didn't
I
retain.
took it all in, but I wasn't trying to. It's like you woke me up from a deep sleep, and I was like, "Whoa! I actually heard all that."
Okay.
But now that I'm talking to you, I almost forgot it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can just jump right in. Then.
No. But here's the thing. I do think people are undermining the fact that people can obviously be motivated by other things than like pure 100% generosity to do good in the world. And I don't know why you would be upset that somebody is at least motivated through some means to do what can only really be interpreted
No,
as
that's-
a positive.
What? Sorry, I didn't mean you can fit.
Well, you kind of cut me off on like the last word of the sentence, but that was
I
basically
wanted
the
you to
whole
finish
thought.
the word because now it feels weird.
Well, now I forgot what it was. So you
Positive
can just go.
something.
Positive impact.
Impact. Okay. That actually is something that
a specific take that I don't think anybody has. Read or seen anybody say directly before.
Because like somebody who just wanted to be famous and changed the world for the better. Like, yeah, I wish they didn't do it for that reason, but like, thanks.
Well, that's the thing. I've heard the two most common, just to set up the context here, the two most common arguments that I've heard, and you can tell me if you've heard something different, is on one side, I guess there's three different things that people talk about, and they're not necessarily conflicting with each other. They're just three different points to the same idea. One is that he's taking advantage of people who need help for his own fame and for his own profit, or revenue, I should say. Because
taking advantage.
Profit is another. Well, taking advantage can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's almost inarguable to say that he is taking advantage of people. But
yeah, he's sees an opportunity and he utilizes it.
That's the first one.
But when you say it that way, it almost makes it sound like he's the one who made them blind.
I'm just setting up the points on this.
I know.
Taking advantage of people.
I just couldn't help but immediately
Then
rebuttal.
there's the one or point of view where is basically just saying it. He's more so just bringing issues to light that it sucks that one person has to be like a god, like a philanthropist, to fix the issues when the issues shouldn't exist in the first place. And
yeah, but he's... Okay, yeah, I wanted to rebuttal again.
Oh my goodness, you cannot help yourself.
It feels like I'm being presented answers on a test.
I want to just present the three, because when I present the three, then you can talk about them all together. Because like I said, all of them, I don't think any of them conflict with each other necessarily by virtue.
You know I'm not that kind of person because I forget all but one by the time they're done.
Okay, well, here's the last one, and then I'll do a quick review.
Okay.
The last one is what you just said, which is basically just, who cares one way or the other? Who cares if he's evil? What he did was good, and it had a positive impact on people, so why does it matter? So in summary, the three were, one, he's taking advantage of people. Two, it sucks that the problem exists in the first place and that he has to be the one to fix it. And three, who cares because he's having a positive impact.
Yeah. Well, that first one I kind of already rebutted. But
here's what I'm saying is I don't think you can rebuke it entirely because he is taking advantage of
yeah, but
people.
that's the thing. But it seems like it seems irrelevant. And you're using terminology against him. It's like when somebody says, oh, you're virtue signaling. It's like, well, yeah, that just means I'm stating
signaling virtue.
Yeah, that just means I'm stating what I believe is right and wrong, which in some cases can be used in favorably to like try and make yourself seem better.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say I'm not trying to say that him taking advantage of people, that sentence in itself, it has a negative connotation, but at face value, I'm saying that's not selling for issue. What you have to then think about is when you're taking advantage of somebody, when you're using somebody to some other means, you have to think about the context, like you said, think about the situation, and then assess it from there.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, but I feel like people who make that argument, they aren't assessing the situation. They're just using the terminology against it.
The biggest thing that I've seen that people have pointed out is just that it sometimes comes across kind of tone deaf, although I agree there's no necessarily better way to do it or present it, but it can come across kind of tone deaf the way he's making it into this, like, almost kid-oriented, because he is essentially a kid's channel.
Yeah.
Kid-oriented, super hyper entertainment, like ADHD video with all these edits and everything, which I do think is toned down a lot on that video specifically. And then the thumbnail. People have talked about the thumbnail a lot, using an actual kid's face with like the clickbait style thumbnail editing for something that's like a really serious issue. And so in one aspect, I don't think the video handled it too terribly. And as somebody who's made YouTube videos as a content creator in heavy quotation marks.
That's funny. You're the content creator and I'm the game designer.
I understand that it is a very tricky line to cross when you want to talk about or do something serious in a video, but also make it entertaining because
then that's how people actually see it.
Yes, exactly.
And then you can't make any impact if people don't see it.
The question is, his
I know what you meant to say.
His self-proclaimed entire purpose of his channel is to make videos that are entertaining. So A, people get enjoyment just from watching them. Mm-hmm. B, they make money, which he then uses the money that they generate to do more good things out of. So if we are to believe him, and this is what I think it comes down to, if we are to believe what he says, which is that almost all of his money, aside from like paying employees, his crew and stuff, all of it goes back into philanthropy and all of his like branches of philanthropic stuff that he does, all his foundations and whatever. If we are to believe that, then I think it's hard to argue that anything he does is immoral. However, this is where you have to discuss the topic of it doesn't matter either way because he has a positive impact.
Well, yeah, no, because there's more nuance to that, and I am prepared to cover
because
that.
you have to ask whether the positive impact in one sense is like that he's physically healing these people, but then you also have to think about mental impacts of like being used for entertainment and stuff and being used as a YouTube video kind of thing.
I would be kind of glad that it's promoting, like it's I'm part of something that is bringing awareness to this problem.
Right.
And that it is put in, even if it's not always to the best taste, it is balanced in such a way that is presented so that the people who are watching it will actually stick with it to the end and actually retain the content and think about it. Again, with the balance to actually view that. Because if it's too deep, then they're just going to click away.
I agree, and it is easy for any one of us to say that. But you have to consider the fact that that might not be how all people feel.
And it's important to notice that he could have crossed a line. He might have gone too far in one direction. Nobody's perfect. We're not saying he did the best possible way of doing this. We're just saying his intentions are hopefully in the right spot, and that he's doing more good than harm.
Right. But well, I think that is what it boils down to. Yeah. But I'll get to that more. There is a potential. I mean, people can say that, you know, all these people signed a waiver to be in the video or whatever. Yeah. They are aware of what they're getting into. But then at the same time, who wouldn't sign a waiver almost at any cost to be able to be featured in a video?
That's actually interesting. Did he offer an option like you can get your eyes healed, but like not be on camera?
That's my point.
Have they said one way or the other? Because like, you know, I've been part of things like when you go to school, they let you go to events, but you'll sign something and say don't put me on camera.
Right. Well, and that's what we don't know. But the question is, like,
that might be nice.
Who would not sign a waiver? Yeah. Just to be able to heal for free.
That's when it is taking advantage of in the negative, appropriately negative.
Then it's manipulating them, sort of coercing
But again,
them
it's
into
possible, like I said, that he was definitively wrong on that front, but still did more good than harm, and was right overall in his intentions.
I haven't gotten to that.
People are allergic to nuance these days.
Listen, we have to finish one conclusion to get to the ultimate conclusion. I know. But I guess the conclusion there is I'm saying I don't know because we don't have enough information on the
People are also obsessed with feeling like they know everything nowadays. We can't just accept the fact that, we don't know some things.
Well, and also I was going to say the bottom line is we're conjecturing about what these people involved might feel, but none of them have spoken out against it.
We feel
none
the need to like
any complaint.
take our inclinations and what little tidbits we have and blow them up and say, I know, I've experienced, I feel strongly. It's like I saw it in a dream. I know MrBeast is evil.
I just think if somebody were to come out, somebody in these videos were to publicly state something about it, like a negative experience they've had, not even just in this video, but in any of them, then that would be a different story. But I feel like there's
so far the only thing like that
there's nothing really substantial to talk about if nobody has even made a claim against him.
The only time MrBeast has had anything like that regarding anything is that one guy. What was it? He said
that he was previously employed. That he said
and then that turned out to
got
be
rebuked. I think.
Yeah, that got pretty rebuked. I think if you look at it enough, there is some possible room where MrBeast was at fault, but it seemed like the guy was just kind of like going crazy about it.
I was going to say, as far as the blindness video, I think the best part of the video he did was, in the U.S., it was easy for him with all these English speakers to make, you know, an entertaining video out of it. Yeah. But I can't remember, he said like 10,000, right? 10,000 people at least that he paid for their procedure or whatever. Yeah. I think it was 10,000. I mean, we saw maybe a handful in the video, like 10, 20 of those people. Well, 10, 20 like interviews, maybe like 50, 60 people in total.
I'm going to need a Mario gummy.
But he showed all the different countries internationally that they went to, and people that could either not or barely speak English. Now this is where again it becomes questionable, because it's like how like well communicated was everything with them if they can't even speak English? Like, as far as the waivers and everything, like are we sure that, you know,
barriers like that are unavoidable too, though.
Like what is it?
Unless he's gonna like pay for.
Yeah, it's just a very sticky line. Especially people on Twitter will get very mad about like the white missionary kind of stuff. But
that's another thing. Like, I'm not saying that that's not a problem in some way, but like, imagine you want to help people. It's like, oh shoot, but I'm white.
Yeah, it's more about, and it's especially in religious context. But I think what he did was not, again, we don't know. But I actually appreciated that part at the end, because he only showed a little bit of footage, basically just to prove that they actually did it. And beyond that, it was just like a completely, like, there was no entertainment out of it or anything. They just literally showed that they went to different countries and did this to people probably much more in need even than the people in the United States, because they probably don't even have the same like quality of healthcare period in those countries, or at least in certain areas of those countries, as we do in the United States.
I feel like that's another problem we have in the modern day is we, admittedly, for an understanding reason, we hold more powerful people to a higher standard, which, you know, makes sense. But in doing so, we take things that are still the same for all of us, like our ability to make decisions, and we expand them through that same logic, and we turn nitpicks into like genuine allegations. Right. And even when it makes no sense. And what was the second point you made of the three?
Second point was that, well, it's what I was just about to say in response to what you said, which is that a single person shouldn't have all the power to do this.
Yes, but because that's where I respected him, because this wasn't in the video, but on his Twitter, he was talking about how this is a serious problem, and he doesn't understand why the government isn't stepping in to do something like this.
Yeah.
So this shows that he has that sort of... this isn't about him in the end entirely.
That was part of the second problem as well, that the problem shouldn't exist in the first place. Yeah.
Like, sorry, Mr. Beast, you're not a good person because you didn't invent a time machine and prevent this from happening in the first place.
But no, well, that's, and I think that's my bottom line here. Well, the thing that you said before, which is that who cares about Mr. Beast in this scenario? I mean, you can make whatever individual opinion you want, I think, but if we're just judging his actions, not his character, which again, I don't think we can judge his character. Listen, don't try to judge people's characters through, like, if they're just like a YouTuber. Don't try to judge their character, good
through
or
a
bad.
parasocial relationship. Sometimes you can misjudge people's character in a real relationship.
Right. Like, you barely know these people, so definitely don't try to judge. Like, don't say he's a good or bad person based on just his YouTube video. Like, there's literally no way to even get close to making that a good faith
because that's great if you're done with the second point, because that brings me to the third point.
I was going to get back to that. Well, I was going to say just briefly.
Can you maintain that segue somehow?
Yes, I was just briefly going to say the second point was, the thing you said about the fact that any small error in what he does is going to be a big deal. And I think it is a big deal because
it'll have more consequences.
Right.
When you have
it's important.
No. Hey, sorry,
Well, you didn't even let me say.
I wanted to clarify something about the statement.
I'm sure that we understand the clarification, but I was just going to say, the problem is that when you give one, like, that one person shouldn't be in charge of doing all that. And I know he works in a team, but he is at the head. He's like at the behest of this all. And so being one person with all the power to do that, it is concerning, just if not for any other reason than regardless of his character, that people are prone to mistakes, and one person shouldn't have the power, or shouldn't be like playing God, being able to just like, oh yeah, I can pay to fix all of your blindnesses. It should be something like a government structure, or even just some kind of organization like a Red Cross type thing that can, as an organization, make decisions on how to do this and make sure that it's done responsibly. So that's, I forgot what segue I was trying to do for you. Whatever you
it doesn't, but it does. Because I definitely do think he wants to like set things into motion for other people too. I mean, that's what he did with the MrBeast restaurants, which in some cases ended poorly. But I mean, trying to like motivate like a group of people who are obviously running these restaurants outside of him to like do some positive good, feed people who couldn't afford any other food.
Yeah. I
definitely don't think he wants it to start and end with him. He's not that self-centered. And for it to continue in that way, I mean, some people will say it's then he just wants to look good. Well, you're gonna look good if what you do works out well. See, the thing is, there is a secondary. Every good thing you can do for the world will come back to you. That's like kind of just a really cool thing about being a good person. But then every person can be like, oh, he only did that good thing, so good things would happen to him. But like
that one was a lot of spit.
It's because I was eating the Mario gummies. They made me sound.
It was an accurate.
Assessment of philosophy.
Wait. What's the word when you mimic somebody? Impression. I was saying it's an accurate impression of somebody who talks like that.
Yeah.
They would be, actually. But
what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the third point. I don't remember what your segue was. But the third point I was going to say is that. You were kind of going back on again about how people hold him to a higher standard because when you have more power, your actions can have more consequences because they affect more people. And that is where I said there's more nuance and there's more still to come. More nuance to come. Stay tuned. Because it is true that you need more people to be your critic when more things are at stake. But the thing is, this is clearly coming across from most of these people. Not, at least in the end, it's sort of settled on less of trying to improve MrBeast's behavior.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And more trying to just like degrade MrBeast the person.
Yes.
And that is the thing. Because whether your consequences have more actions, your ability to make choices is still 100% the same across all people.
Right.
Like regardless of your fame, your power, anything. That's like, it doesn't make you a worse person because you have more power. And therefore your mistakes are amplified.
Yeah. Even if there's a mistake in his actions, if his intentions are good, then you can judge his actions and say there maybe needs to be some improvement here.
Yeah.
But if his intentions are good, then you shouldn't attack his character. Yeah. Or not really attack, but criticize, constructively criticize.
Criticism. That's how we fix it.
And then he can.
You're not going to take down MrBeast by telling him you don't like him.
Well,
but you might be able to fix his problems by telling him how he could do it better.
You're not going to take down MrBeast
at all.
I mean, he even went through the whole thing with like old videos of him saying some slurs and stuff. And,
oh snap! I actually didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he's still kicking. So I think it's pretty hard with his kind of fan base to try to cancel him. Period. So, assuming that he's not a bad person, instead of focusing on canceling, I think the A, productive thing, and B, the only thing that's even going to have any effect on him in any way. How will this affect MrBeast's legacy? That was a LeBron reference. Constructive criticism. But also I was going to say, as far as his character, again, we don't know, but like, I will say one thing that does rub me the right way
The right way.
the right way.
Like when you pet a cat from the neck
Right,
down.
and the hair's not sticking up; it's laying down flat and sleek. That's me when I see MrBeast and his being. A lot of the times he doesn't really make himself the central focus of the video.
Yeah.
Like as I was saying earlier, like he really does sometimes
He's like the hype man for his own philanthropy.
right, but he just like steps back and like his crew, like the Carls and the
Carls.
Chandlers and stuff, like they do most of the entertainment stuff, and he's just kind of there, like, yeah, I'm like designing this. Like he's almost more of like the producer, the director on set than like the actors themselves, his crew that are being like the funny men. So I do think that a more narcissistic, more self-absorbed person would definitely try much harder, and believe me, he has the means to do so, in making himself the famous one, making himself the center of attention, basically. So
My closing remarks are just some post disclaimers, and then to round it out, I kind of wanted to add some nuance. I've been saying that a lot, but I advertised the nuance, so here it is.
let's dump a whole vat of nuance in this thing.
I love
Let's just nuance
nuance.
it up.
I actually do.
Nuance it
I've grown addicted to nuance just because
nuance is the best.
everyone in the
I
world is
snort
terrified of nuance.
dude. I snort it raw.
I eat nuance brownies. I snort bricks
I grow my
of
own
nuance.
I grow my own nuance mushrooms. Like,
Yes.
what's your nuance?
You made me forget it. I'll be right back. Okay, you said, I do want to say, you said no one's going to take down MrBeast, period. I feel like some people do use that as an excuse to say, oh, it doesn't matter what you think of him. Nothing's going to stop him. I think that's a defeatist attitude that is often not true, but even if it is, and this sort of feels like a philosophical, like, Achilles heel when I say it out loud, but I would go down fighting something I could never take down if I truly thought it was wrong.
Sure, but I just don't think like harping on Twitter is any sort of effective way to do that.
Exactly. But that's why I wanted to direct more stuff back to our thing of saying that there is another option that is actually constructive criticism.
Right.
You can't take him down, but you can at least try and do the second best thing, which is change his course. But that's where I wanted to say a bit of nuance to the very first thing I said, which is where the 0.3 stems from in the first place, about like, why do you care about his intentions? He's doing good things either way. There is a good reason why so many people, even in light of obvious positive done through actions, will still cling to even just the fear of bad intentions. And that is because someone with bad intentions cannot be trusted to do good things for long.
Right.
But see, the thing is, that's like a we're turning it into like a guilty until proven innocent thing. We have no reason really to strongly believe that MrBeast, after we've gone through all this, is a strongly poor intentioned or even just like a noticeably poor intentioned person. And so by jumping to that conclusion, you're just bringing in pessimism and then fear mongering it to bring like a public panic to something that probably isn't important.
I think you have to assess whether it's better to assume innocence and then act on something if guilt is proven, versus if you should approach with skepticism, and then if innocence is somehow proven, which it basically can't be, then just always maintain some level of skepticism. But in this case where he's actually literally having positive impact, it does seem kind of ridiculous in the meantime, if he's literally having a net positive impact, to assume the skepticism.
Keep a close
approach.
eye on him. If he starts getting shifty, then call him out. But don't automatically be like, oh, there's potential here. This could go wrong.
Well, because literally
It hasn't yet. But
anybody with money is like sitting on a giant red button that's like, do evil, like just be evil.
yeah,
Anybody with money.
You just decide to care about MrBeast specifically. That, or you just must get no sleep at night, keeping a giant list of every rich person and being like, is today gonna be the day?
It goes back to the number 2, because like a lot of people with money are evil.
Yeah.
So it's like, should people with this much money to do this kind of stuff even
At least they're honest about being evil. Well, a little more honest.
Yeah.
A little less bad at hiding it.
But I mean, if we're gonna compare
Elon Musk's way,
right? If we're gonna compare Elon Musk to Jimmy Beast, then it's not even in the ballpark.
I actually was thinking about a segue to Elon Musk, where I was going to talk about.
We got that on my list right here. If you do want to segue there,
because I was going to talk about how I don't think they actually overlapped, but they were close enough that I was thinking about them, about the thing Elon Musk said, because this both falls into the general field of philanthropy. The thing Elon Musk said about, he was like, oh yeah, I'll pay to end world hunger. If the UN can like decide that they'll actually use the money for that.
They can figure out a way to do it, then
because the sad thing is, it's like, that was another thing with MrBeast, is that people were like, it was almost like they felt like he could have done more. Like they were upset that he drew a line. I saw a meme once. How many people was it that he cured of blindness?
Well,
it was like the 1,001st blind person, and it was like
10,000,
someone crying, 10,000 and first blind person. and he was crying.
Yeah. Well, that actually is. I don't want to get back into it, but that is another valid criticism because he spends a lot of money on the sets, the recording, the editing.
The problem is you always have to pick an arbitrary because nothing is infinite.
Yeah, but then there's always going to be some limit. But I guess they could argue that if he didn't make a video out of it, then he could spend more on the people.
But the video does raise awareness, yeah.
And the video generates revenue.
And that's what you wanted was awareness because you don't want it to all be him.
But yeah, so I think we beat the beast horse.
We beat the beast. But yeah, I kind of understood where Elon Musk was going because we all know that our taxes aren't being spent well. You try to give the UN money to solve world hunger to be like, oh, oopsie, whoopsie. Turns out it wasn't enough, but man, our vacations went great. But like, and so it's sad because I kind of want to start this by saying that a long time ago, I sort of thought Elon Musk was a little cool. I mean, not cool. I didn't actually think he was a cool guy.
Well,
but he inspired me with, if nothing else, by his work ethic and sort of, I guess, his openness about certain things. And then those certain things turned
bad.
Yeah.
Well, he just recently became the ultra red pilled.
Yeah, he did. I think
out of nowhere. Like it was actually weird.
Like I literally think he's doing it as like a power vantage point.
Because the thing is, most people when they went through their ultra red pill era, like celebrities or even regular
this
people,
was pre-red pill Elon Musk.
It was like 2016 to 18, early Trump era, where like everybody was like going on the Trump wave kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's when they became red pilled. Elon Musk became red pilled in like. Well, I guess it was near the COVID era, which was another big thing.
Yeah.
But his just seemed kind of delayed. Like he was just like sitting on it waiting. Like I could become red pilled. I could become red pilled and I would get like the red pill bonus, like the stat bonus.
Red pill bonus?
Do I take it? Yeah. And he was like waiting for the right time to take it.
He had the Matrix scene. He was like, "Do you take this pill?"
Yeah. But no, what were we saying about him though? Yeah, I mean I guess I more so thought that the technology he was trying to do was cool. But,
yeah.
But
SpaceX was inspiring to me.
Sort of everything you said as sort of
there was a clip where I actually like felt empathy for the guy because it was showing that like Neil Armstrong or somebody who I'm surprised is actually how old would he be?
Oh yeah, Neil Armstrong is
he was not a fan of SpaceX.
Wait, did he die recently? I think he might have died recently.
Well, he was if I'm thinking of the right person, he was alive long enough.
Yeah, he was
to
alive
say that
he
he wasn't a fan of SpaceX. There was something about their philosophy he disagreed with, and it was an interview with Elon Musk, and they were asking him like, "How do you feel about that?" And he looked like he was about to cry, and I was like,
I think I've seen that.
And then that actually is kind of sad because like I mean, SpaceX it's pretty astounding what they've accomplished, and it's sad because he even said like Neil Armstrong was like a hero to him, and to hear him say that, to have that disapproval, it's. But
all of those things that you said that seem to be positive character traits of him have kind of crumbled apart as a facade to me because now it seems like he is like the Jeff Bezos, like the sitting on the throne CEO that actually does nothing. Like it seems like it was all a performance now because, dude, the stuff from the Twitter developers that have come out saying that he'll tweet stuff about Twitter publicly, first of all, which is just weird. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, we're in the middle of development on Twitter, and this stuff is bad, and the developers need to fix that. And a developer will reply. This is just such a funny boss dynamic. Like, imagine just replying to your boss's tweets, which also is the platform you are developing. You're using that to criticize your boss. Like, not saying there's anything wrong with them doing, but it's so weird. But he'll say things about Twitter and the development and everything, the back end, and they'll respond and they'll be like, "You literally, this is not even how it works."
It's like imagine you're looking at like the update log for an application, and the staff, including the boss, is all fighting in like the 0.0001. Fix this thing. 0.0002. That was never even a thing. What are you talking about?
They like strike through the previous patch log. Yeah, it's. But yeah, no, it seems like he's way more of just like a confident, like seems like he knows what he's doing kind of guy than he is really like a head down, get to work kind of smart guy. Like it genuinely just seems like all performance now. And I'm sure he is smart. I'm sure he has to be smart at a substantial level to be able to even have like acquired like companies like SpaceX or started and acquired like PayPal and stuff. Well, he made PayPal as well. So like to make those things, like it seems like he has to be smart, but like it really just feels like he got money and now it's like he can just retire and just like act smart and act like he's doing things when he's sort of just sitting on the throne.
The problem is, and it's funny because these words rhyme. You remember when I was talking about how people use the word art to describe way too many different things? People use the word smart to describe way too many different things.
I thought you were going to say fart, but...
People use the way... No. Because he has engineering know-how. He builds rockets. Mm-hmm. He has work ethic. He knows how to like self-motivate. That's I don't think he knows how to tell a bunch of people how to program something.
Well, and also he does have autism. He has been outspoken about that, or
Yeah.
I mean, he's been public about that. So that could be part of the fact that
He can't communicate.
he
with
has
people
like
well.
absolutely
especially
zero communication
with things
skills.
that aren't very like specific, like with engineering, you're talking like maybe giving specific stats, like things that aren't so
Right.
subjective.
like that, like concrete stuff. But maybe
Yeah.
he just has no social communication skills, and
Yeah.
so he just seems like the most evil person ever. Not that excuses.
But then he has
anything.
a high sense of self too,
But-
so he's like,
yeah.
I'm the one who's right here. This isn't miscommunication.
Right.
You just don't understand.
So even if like that was stuff that he deals with, he could deal with that in a better way. He could acknowledge that he
Yeah.
has communication issues,
Yeah.
but
It's not an
instead he's-
excuse.
Yeah,
it's just an acknowledgement, or it should be.
it's maybe there's a reason behind it, but he's definitely not taking that into account himself. He's not meta-analyzing his own behaviors, and instead he fires Twitter employees on Twitter by replying and being like, you're fired. Like
That's
the
like a
classic
Trump move.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
you're fired. You're fired.
But because there was a thing, and I really wanted to research this, but I kept forgetting it before we start the podcast. There was a thing pretty shortly into when he bought Twitter. He was like, I'm going to uncover all this conspiracy stuff.
Yeah,
They've been trying to hurt our mentalities and all that. And it's to some people, it's made it sound like he did pretty much prove to some extent that they were trying to oppress more conservative mindsets, which the thing is, and then a bunch of people hear that and I'm like, oh, this is evil. Send the entire Twitter staff to jail. And I'm like, okay, yeah, send every powerful person to jail. You don't think literally everyone's not doing that?
Yeah.
And like, and where do you even draw the line? Because you could consider like YouTube adding their little things about below conspiracy theories with Wikipedia article links to be some sort of impressment on freedom of speech.
Fact checkers, and fact checkers have become a big thing on the Instagram and Facebook has it implemented now, and YouTube has always had it for like.
Yeah.
YouTube does handpick because for all the COVID videos had COVID stuff, vaccine related stuff. Same on Instagram. So it is a really interesting line because not that I disagree with having those kind of fact checking or some of them. Some of the fact checking stuff is just stupid. But
yeah, and some of it's going to be biased too. So that's why
Right.
if
That's
you
the
do really
problem.
have something you need
Like-
to put out there and they're covering it up,
right, what's the line you're going to draw? And more importantly, is it even immoral is one thing, but is it even illegal for a company to regulate because they already regulate based on the terms of service and like what you can and can't say on the platform. So obviously it's not full freedom of speech because it's their platform, it's privately owned, they can control what they want on it to some extent. But is there some extent where that is actually illegal, or can you really just, can you manipulate it in any way you want? And it's technically it's their choice. It's
I think
their
a big
company.
part of
So-
that is they should be open about it.
Right,
So
that's
this
what I
kind of
think
stuff
matters.
isn't something people would know about. And so like.
But you know what, really quick, what feature is actually really cool on Twitter that I wish, rather than the fact check, like the unbiased third-party fact checkers, they now have on Twitter where regular users
Yes, I
can
saw
add
that. That's
context.
dope. That's dope.
They are
That's the
so
only good new thing.
And the best part about it, so funny. I've seen so many advertisements where the advertiser's tweet gets absolutely roasted, but in an unbiased way, but gets totally really they just straight out point out that the ad is lying about something in the context.
Yes.
And it's so good. It's
That's
so
good. Give the power back to the people. That's a good thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of having the fact
Instead
checkers,
of bouncing it between two big powers, give it to the
exactly,
people.
because the fact checkers on Instagram, first of all, people post memes, and there's ways that you can trigger the fact checking with certain audio or certain bits of image that it's automatically detected. So people just post memes, and the fact checking has just become a crapshoot on Instagram, on Facebook. But what's the point of the fact checker if it's just going to be literally some quote unquote fact checking site, which not saying that I don't trust them necessarily, but like then you're just again leaving it to some other organization. Like how is that much better? But what is great about the new Twitter thing is that literally people can just write their own context, and then you have a way of voting on it to say if it's relevant, if it's helpful context.
Democracy in my
it's
social
so
media.
Much better. It's so much better. The way that's one of the greatest things. I don't know if that was Elon Musk's idea or partially his idea, but if it was, that is the one thing that he has absolutely done right.
The views was a bad idea.
It's just ugly.
It is.
It doesn't provide anything.
The symbol is bad too. It looks way too. It doesn't look like a symbol. It's too complex.
It should be like an eyeball or something. It's like a chart.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, it's lines. It looks like a graph.
That makes you think that you click on it and you get like a huge
stats. Layout.
Yeah.
But no, the views,
huge
the
cover
views
report.
just clutters it. I keep thinking it's the likes at first.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no way, this thing has 80,000 likes. And it's like, oh no, it has like.
But like, because
50.
people talk about how on Twitter, you get likes and you feel like validated, and people who don't get them feel upset. Now you've got a whole new flavor of that with the views. You feel upset that you've been cheated, that no one sees your stuff.
Well, you know what I think that his goal was? It was to drive up engagement by saying, oh, a lot of people are viewing this.
but not interacting. I should interact. I mean, think about how many people are seeing this. I should interact with it. I guess in some weird way, that's the idea, the strategy.
It's not the worst idea. It's just not well implemented.
And it's not graphically from like a user experience terms.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's
not
good.
Good.
Jarring. But I was gonna talk about Elon Musk because I mentioned how, again, I didn't look into it, but let's assume he was totally right that they've been suppressing certain mindsets without even letting people know that that's their stance and virtually censoring people. It's really hard for me to look at Elon Musk exposing that and be like, oh, cool. Because then he turns around and he does the same thing. People have pointed out, they've looked at the statistics. He's promoting his own tweets above everyone else's.
Yes.
And he's basically replied to those things saying, yeah, I do that.
And did you hear about the thing where he all across Twitter was banning negative articles about Tesla and Tesla stock?
Yes.
Yeah. So
moron. Practice what you preach.
Yeah, it's absurd because he literally was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy Twitter and I'm gonna make it like a free marketplace of ideas.
I'm gonna become Kermit the Frog.
And when I make it the free marketplace of ideas, I'm gonna make it so that everyone has free speech and nothing will be censored. No ideas, no matter how red pilled or blue pilled.
Unless they're against me. I mean,
But if you say one bad thing about Tesla, then your tweet's gonna go down the trash can.
If you say Elon's stinky, then
That's
go to
that's
jail.
bad. I'm the dictator here.
I know where you live.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But, because I almost want to stand up for this part. Because I got this is when I first started disliking Elon Musk. This is when I first started disliking Elon Musk. Do you think they can hear me?
Yes.
Because back in the day, this is why I thought he was cool. This was like the precursor to his red pill. So he was like the good stuff that people, it's like the thing that gets you into the red pill before you're actually red pilled. Is he was talking about like the dangers of AI and like too much power technology having over people and these corporations having over people. He was like in sometimes just in normal conversation in tweets, sometimes, podcasts like Joe Rogan. He had this big talk about AI. They weren't this close in actually happening, but they were this close in me viewing them. He goes and he talks about AI and censorship and too much technology and the government spying on us. Then the next day he has like this big Tesla expo and he reveals this like AI robot that's supposed to like be like your butler and like solve problems for you. And he like pitches it at this meeting. And then he goes around and he starts advertising this new Tesla brand brain chip. It's a thing, look it up. You put it in your brain and you can activate technology with your mind. And he's talking about this technology interfering with your brain and censoring you and tracking you. And he actually... There are people making conspiracy theories about the government putting chips in your brain. He's actually straight up saying, yeah, I want to put chips in your brain. This moron. He says, be afraid of these things until I start doing them. That is his strategy. He wants you to...
Jonathan.
He wants you to be afraid of them while other people can beat him to the punch. Then once he's there first... There's
so much spit on me right now. My body is covered in
Then
spit.
once he's there first, then he's like, okay, it's safe now. Everybody do my thing.
okay.
Give me the money.
What you're saying is not unique to Elon Musk, to be clear.
I know, but it made me so upset when I first saw it.
That's just rich people, basically.
Especially because nobody cares. Nobody points out this hypocrisy.
But that's any rich person. They're gonna say, oh yeah, I don't think this thing is safe, or I don't think this thing is right. But
now I'm doing it.
If they have the opportunity to capitalize off of it, then suddenly it becomes right and trustworthy.
Don't trust technology unless it's my self-driving car.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else on Elon Musk? Because I'm done, but I think you got out a little bit of your anger there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Circling around the room and yelling about Elon Musk and his brain chips.
But I feel like he's just trying to puppet people because he's constantly like playing with the crypto market and everything. It's just crazy.
that was like old school Elon Musk with the Dogecoin.
He's still doing it. Did you see his
Really?
Doge tweet? He tweeted like
Seriously, I actually didn't know that. No.
He tweeted like something saying "Love the new Twitter CEO," and it was a dog sitting at a desk wearing glasses, and then he did hashtag Dogecoin.
That's
and it like
crazy.
stirred up like crypto balances and stuff.
Well, I have on here as a topic about crypto and NFTs. If you want to segue into that.
Well, the
Accidentally.
only thing I didn't cover on Elon Musk was that some of his decisions, like how he's making people pay for stuff because he thinks that'll get rid of trolls.
The API and the Twitter Blue.
As if trolls aren't the most motivated people in the world and wouldn't pay thousands of dollars, especially ones that are scams because they're making money off of them.
This has been said enough, but if somebody is scamming for the purpose of gaining money, more than $8 presumably, I think they will take an $8 tax to continue scamming and making more than $8.
It's like the people who benefit the most from this system will surely not be willing to pay for it. No, they will be the ones most willing to
But
pay.
if he wants engagement and use of his platform, I have no idea why he's making the API paywalled because
I
guarantee you
Beatbox's automated upload
that
system.
a lot of the people using the API for all kinds of different bots. I mean, there's endless amounts of Twitter bots that they are not going to be willing to pay $8 just to continue doing like some little joke that they have running on a Twitter bot. Or not $8, sorry, that's for Twitter Blue. I don't even know how much the API costs. It's like $200 or a month or something. So like that now it's exclusively for companies, which in one sense, if you don't like the whole Twitter bots where it's like post a frame of SpongeBob every day, then okay, I guess if you're against that. But that's a big part of the engagement on the platform, honestly. So
it's a really cool feature. Leads to some really interesting ideas for accounts.
Yeah.
Twitter is like the everything platform. That's what people say. And that's why, and they say it's everything and everyone. And I think that's kind of a stupid idea. It's that, because it's one that's never going to be true. But it's like, there's a part of the general everyone that is on Twitter. But it is like the worst part, in my opinion, of all those people. So I feel like seeing it as everyone's platform is kind of bad, because then it gives you like a really poor view of humanity. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the fact that it has that broad reach across groups, that's why if I ever wanted to become like a freelance artist, which might just be what I have to end up doing with my life, I would like advertise myself on Twitter. But now I don't know if that'll work because I'm scared of the platform and people are leaving it.
You'll get
not as much as they say,
but commissions if you do that.
I don't know if I'll take commissions. I'll probably just like,
okay, now draw them in front of a Nazi flag.
No, I gotta be very specific with my commissions if I do that. I just wish they'd pay me on Patreon for what I want to draw already.
I have a list of other topics if you're ready to move on. Well, I had the crypto thing, but
you can go on to crypto if you want.
I don't know how interesting the crypto thing is, because I'm more so... I put
NFTs.
I put question marks here. I said, is crypto dead? Question mark. NFTs? Question mark.
Our dad is saying crypto is why the banks are collapsing now.
Is that... Wait, like the Silicon Valley Bank thing?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was crypto.
He was making it sound like...
I didn't read that much.
He's making it sound like it's because people aren't using the banks as much, and so there's not as much investment in them because they're no longer using physical basis for money as much.
I don't know if that's... Well, that's not crypto. It's true that all banking is done more digitally now, like rather than physical money, but crypto...
That's what he made it sound like, and honestly...
Crypto is not mainstream enough, though, to have a real effect.
Honestly, that's kind of what the news sounded like they were trying to spin it to. I'll have to research this more.
Well, then I guess I'm not qualified to necessarily talk about this, but I more so was asking
But that's what I thought, too. I did not think it would be enough to make an impact.
I was more so asking you if you have any better context on the current state of the crypto community, because from what I understand, it's I mean, obviously it's never going to reach like the glory days of Bitcoin a few years ago when it was hype.
I'm all for taking power away from the establishment, but like no one in the crypto business seems to be doing it right, and there's so many scams and all that stuff.
The problem is that crypto isn't just online money.
Yeah.
It's that it basically is...
It's you have to give into another power.
It's completely...
You can't ever just have anything be for the people.
It's completely coupled with the whole idea of like basically baseless investment, like, which is betting, gambling, essentially. Yeah. Now, yeah, I mean that's essentially I think the problem with crypto is because it's not just a digital currency. That's really not what it is, because the thing is we already have digital currency in the sense that we can make purchases online. Like their e-commerce is a thing separate from cryptocurrency. It's just it's not, and still our money isn't backed necessarily by physical money. Like I can get paid by an employer, goes straight to my bank account. I don't even have to get a check anymore, direct deposit, and it's literally just numbers in my bank account that says I have that money now.
Yeah.
And then the bank is just assuming that they have enough physical money to back that, and if I needed to withdraw that, I can get that in physical money. But so I already think we have digital currency in a sense. It's just money that it's credit, basically. It's non-physical money. So crypto is I don't think it's filling the role of being like apart from the establishment money.
Well, I mean, the government doesn't regulate it.
Well, I guess it fills that role, yes, but it doesn't fill the role of digital currency is what I'm trying to say. It's something different. It's not digital currency. It's something different. It's more of basically just like its own like sort of stock market system. Except, again, stock market is based on investments into real companies that produce real revenue, whereas cryptocurrency is essentially gambling on a stock market, like a stock price.
It's just
weird.
sort of become its own separate mess.
But now I was just wondering if you have any updates from your world on, if not crypto, maybe NFTs. But
NFTs, I do have some opinions on, because that just became such a mess.
But what I'm specifically saying, I mean, I don't know if we missed the whole. I guess we haven't made a podcast since the whole NFT.
Oh no, definitely not.
So we're already late to this conversation. So I wasn't necessarily going to talk about NFTs themselves, but what's the aftermath now? Because I haven't seen hardly anybody realistically trying to do NFT stuff. I mean, especially
Yeah.
not since Logan Paul's CryptoZoo thing. Like, since then, I haven't heard anything about NFTs at all. So I'm thinking that they're just kind of dead. But also, I feel like there's this small, like, weird cult-like community of crypto
Yeah.
bros on Twitter still that, like...
See, the thing is, anytime you give someone a hard enough time, they develop a victim complex and thinks they're better than you.
Yeah, which is like the crypto bros.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, the little tiny seed of truth that they can latch onto is the thing that I generally think, which is that cryptocurrency, NFTs, the metaverse, all this stuff is bad in execution, but doesn't necessarily have to be bad in idea. So they like see these people that are mostly just complaining about the way NFTs have been executed, and they just see them like as dogpiling on them just for wanting online collectibles, which is a thing that has existed since like video games, like TF2, the hat market.
Yeah, no,
somebody pointed that out.
Exactly, and CS:GO with the gun skins and the knives. Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
And it's fair. I do think people need to acknowledge that stuff like this has been around for a while, and to like more squarely direct it on how it's executed. Because the main problem people have with NFTs is the whole mining for the data and everything, and the impact that has on the environment.
I'm going to take the embarrassment here and say that when NFTs were first a thing, I thought they were really cool.
Like me with Elon Musk.
Specifically because I thought it was cool. The concept, to be clear, I never thought the execution was cool once I learned what the execution was.
Honestly, it's this kind of thing I would like too.
But
I never really got to that point. But.
The concept of being able to create art and, like in real life, have an original copy, like be able to say that this, like when you do commission work as an artist, the idea of the commission is, you're making art specifically custom made for somebody, and then they sort of own it.
This is interesting because this can segue into metaverse and the whole AI art thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I think
you didn't put that on your list.
I think it was on my topic list, but then I forgot
I'm the art. Again, in quotation marks. I'm the artist.
No, I actually do want to talk about that because I want to know your opinions on that. Anyways, let me finish this really quick.
We're gonna exceed 2 hours, 22 minutes, 22 seconds.
Well, because there's 20 minutes extra time when we were.
Yeah, well, so then we're looking for 2:42.
About 2:40, I think.
I don't think we have time for metaverse and AI in there.
We'll get it. I'll go fast.
We'll get it. We'll go fast.
I thought NFTs were cool because I thought it was cool to have like a digital original copy. But then my immediate thought was, how does that even, like, how could you actually have that work? And like the realistic answer is that you can't.
Yeah.
Like you basically, beyond symbolically saying that you own something, which is what NFTs are, beyond symbolically saying that you own something, there's no way you can literally own, like the classic meme is, oops, screenshotted your NFT. Yeah. But it's true.
The reason why that worked in things like video games, like you mentioned the weapons and the hats and stuff, is because they actually have a function. You can't screenshot a function,
Right. And beyond the function, also the way those works is there's a player database.
Yeah.
And an item can be owned by a player.
It's not, what's the word for the big bank they have all this stored on that you can...
The blockchain?
Yeah, the blockchain.
Yeah. Because the blockchain, all it's doing is saying that your like wallet ID, whatever it is, your crypto wallet is attached to this code that represents this file or the NFT, the token. It's literally saying that your identification, which is just a bunch of numbers, owns this string of numbers which represents this image or whatever it is. But in reality, the image is just binary data, right? It is literally just data on a computer that anybody can duplicate at their will. So when it boils down to it, the NFT literally just says you own this set of numbers, which figuratively represents a token that, it figuratively represents some data, some file. So I think the idea is cool, but there's realistically no way to execute that. And then there's obviously all of the implications with crypto and crypto just being a mess as it is that make NFTs especially dumb. But if not even for that, my biggest thing with NFTs is it's not even functional. Like it doesn't even work the way that you'd want it to. You don't really own anything. You have a figurative stamp of like owning something that's just a bunch of numbers. Literally nothing about your copy of that file makes it unique.
Yes, I think this philosophical approach to the idea behind something like this, as well as the fact that you aren't getting out as much as you put in because of the flawed system, it's a lot more deep and it's a lot more mental. Like we're not just analyzing the physical here, we're analyzing why would you do this, Mm-hmm. I think this is the correct approach when you're trying to analyze the value of these NFTs, which is why I didn't like that when they first came out, everyone was immediately like, they're bad for the environment. They're mining data and it's causing global warming.
Hey guys, what isn't bad for the environment?
Yeah, the first thing I thought of is we've been doing race cars for years. Nobody calls out race car drivers. They're literally just pumping CO2 into the atmosphere to drive in circles. That's their pastime.
I got another one for you. Literally, the website that you buy the NFTs from, any website that you buy an NFT from, is using electricity to host the website, to host the data, to do all of the stuff, like the computers, like all of it is bad for the environment. Now I understand saying like crypto mining specifically, like you're literally just using electricity.
Yeah.
You're just using power for the sake of crypto.
Yeah.
It is wasteful, but again,
that's where
that's not like the nail in the coffin, you know?
Because, I mean, what purpose do sports, the race car driving, carry either? It's just your visual entertainment. You're just watching something. But that's why I like I said, I lean more towards the value and the system as being the crux of the problem here. Because an analogy I heard someone say is, when you have these systems where, if you've heard of these things where you like symbolically buy a star.
Oh yeah,
it's like
plots of land in Scotland.
Yes, because they point
That's a
out
whole scam
not
by itself.
only does it not actually do anything, especially in the star case, and in your case it's a ripoff, which is also the case with some NFTs. Well, if you go down deep enough, all of them. Yeah. But also, they pointed out, I saw, it was like a Twitter post or something. It was a specific story where they found out later that the thing they had bought the stars through, they don't actually keep track of them or anything. They'll sell the same stars to other people.
I was just about to say that. You know what I was going to say, you know what they probably do? They literally have a random generator that picks a star that exists.
And that's the same thing. The system is flawed. Anybody can break through it. It's not really yours. And that's the thing. To prove the flawed system, this was something I found. I wish I could remember the context I found this in. I didn't fact check it. But apparently, the guys who invented sort of the basis for the NFTs, they weren't even like on board with the idea. It was something they made just as like a hobby, like practice thing in their spare time. I saved it. The guys are Anil Dash and Kevin McCoy, if I got those names correct. And one of them or the other, if I'm, again, to trust the source, I didn't fact check this. They said
fact check independently.
They said this on some article, and this is cutting in the middle of it. The NFT prototype we created in a one-night hackathon had some shortcomings. You couldn't store the actual digital artwork in a blockchain because of technical limits. Records in most blockchains are too small to hold an entire image.
It's just a token.
Many people suggested that rather than trying to shoehorn the whole artwork into the blockchain, one could just include the web address of an image or perhaps a mathematical compression of the work.
Which makes it not unique.
And use it to reference the artwork elsewhere. We took that shortcut because we were running out of time. 7 years later, all of today's popular NFT platforms still use the same shortcut.
Yeah.
This means that when someone buys an NFT, they're not buying the actual digital artwork, they're buying a link to it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
They're buying a link that in many cases, and this is from the mouths of the people who started it, they're buying a link that in many cases lives on the website of a new startup that's likely to fail within a few years.
Right. You don't even have a reliable link.
Decades from now, how will anyone verify whether the linked artwork is... And it cuts off. I didn't get the full
belongs to you, basically.
In the meantime, the current NFT market is drawing an extraordinary range of grifters and spammers. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of how good it could be, it's clearly taken a bad turn. People are creating NFTs of artists' works. This is where it goes back into AI art as a possible segue. People are creating NFTs of artists' works without asking permission or even letting the artist know. Today, I run a platform that helps people create apps. Typically, the most popular apps are prosaic. Is that the right word?
Yeah, prosaic.
Messaging systems for work or tools for building a website. For the entire first week of March, our most popular offering each day was a Twitter app that let people block lists of users en masse. The app skyrocketed in popularity because artists were using it to block NFT spammers from hijacking their works and monetizing as NFTs without permission. And this is why people have gone off the deep end to the point of giving them the victim complex, is because, understandably, people have taken this in a very dark turn. And that's why, because again, as an artist, in quotes, that was this... Elon Musk scared me off of Twitter, but scared me off of art online as a whole. I don't want somebody to steal my art and sell it as an NFT. Now, I know right off the bat, I wouldn't be popular enough for that to happen. Like, well, actually, they kind of take advantage of that because no one would know.
You have to post the art first.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, it's very scary. It's a scary place to be in for an artist. And NFTs aren't helping, along with whatever else we could talk about. Do you want to talk about AI art? AI art. So this is complex. Because AI, not just in art, everything, AI prediction, AI creation, if you want to be broad about it.
Okay, I'll stick my foot out into the water.
Has exploded recently.
Yeah.
And I literally think it's like a conspiracy. I think the government was holding this technology back and then something happened and they were like trying to like cover it up.
Can I dip my toes in the water?
Yeah.
Can I give an opening statement? Unless you were in the middle of an opening statement.
No, I was just being a conspiracy theorist.
Okay. Here's my opening statement. And it's 3 words. Wait. It's 3 words.
Well, it's a contraction. It's 4 words. Artificial intelligence is overrated. That's it. Mic drop. It's ringing on the floor.
Well, here,
right
this
now.
might scare you. Did you see Tom Scott's
Yes.
video? Does that
Did I not talk to you about that?
No, you didn't. Not to me. Does that scare you as a programmer?
Yes, horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Because, I mean, I'm a programmer,
but
too.
I'm gonna get
Game
into that.
developer.
But game developer.
Anytime somebody talks over me, I, like,
developer.
mix the words they're saying with the words I'm saying.
Game dever.
That's why I try to cut into people's words like that so that I don't mix them.
Yes. So I here's the thing. I think AI can be a very, very cool, useful tool, especially in the previously mentioned Tom Scott video. If you don't know Tom Scott, look up Tom Scott and his video called, what is it?
I used
something
AI
about-
once and it scared me.
something like that. I used AI. I tried AI and it scared me.
Yeah,
something like that. Watch the video if you're interested, especially if you are interested in computers, programming, whatever.
And AI.
It's a really cool tool. And here's the thing. A lot of people are talking about, I don't want to lose my job as like a software engineer or whatever. I don't think there's any way in the world that, like in our world, in any sort of relevant timeline, that AI will be good enough to replace the jobs of software engineers. Because here's the thing. You give it a prompt and it can make something based on that prompt.
Yeah.
It's not self-generative in any way. It cannot create its own prompts. It's not creative.
Yeah.
It is by nature not creative. Even if it was accurate to the point where software engineers could one-to-one use what they make and just build an entire application off of it, it needs a prompt. It needs something to make. You need designers. You need the creative aspect. So if you are at like if you're like living in your cubby at the office space and you're the least creative individual, you provide nothing to the workspace and you just type all day, maybe you need to worry. Maybe you need to get a little bit more creative, have some cool ideas or something. But the bottom line is nobody's designing or somebody has to design things, even if you're using AI to program for you. Again, the context is that the AI is getting really good at programming to the point where it's can have pretty good accuracy with like as far as errors in the code. It doesn't even have errors. Like it syntactically can create working programs. But again, my whole thing with it is that it requires input. Like you have to be the one influencing it. You have to tell it what to make. It's creativity.
I was having a shower thought the other day though. Like I might have been in the shower, and I was thinking, what if you had an AI program that drew sketches of like poses and then fed it into the other AI program that turned it into actual drawings?
Well, that's where I was going to get to the art. The art, it is creative. You could tell it to just generate an image for you, and it would generate something. Now, obviously,
that may look exactly like something that already exists.
You give it some kind of prompt, usually, to give it a direction in which, like, what it should create. Like, you could tell it to draw a banana or whatever,
Draw me a banana.
But on a few different levels, I would consider the image AI to be more creative in a very heavy, like 4 layers of quotation marks.
Yes.
Creative on its own. But that is because all it knows is, and again, this is what AI is. It is not creative. So that's why the heavy quotes. It is not creative or self-generative in any way. Everything that AI does is not insight. Insight is what we say in like psychological terms. Insight is learning that just comes out of thin air, basically, like unexplainable. It's not observed behavior that you pick up from other people. Insight is when you figure out how to do something, you create an idea seemingly completely on your own. Like your brain just does it.
Yeah.
And AI it's completely impossible for AI to do that.
But I think an interesting point people have brought up, and this will get into something I might say later, which is that technically we can't do that either. I mean, like,
yes,
everything we've done is learn from stuff we've seen.
Yeah.
And that's where people get into a thing about AI art, because it is entirely possible for an AI art to rip off another artist completely, because they're all learning from examples of art given. But at the same time, it is entirely possible for a person to do that, sometimes unintentionally, just from like a lapse of memory, because we are also all just learning off of what we've seen.
Yeah. Well, you just took all the wind out of my sails, because, that was basically everything I was going to say.
Well, I mean, it's good to have, there's 2 of us here.
I'll pass the baton back to you. No,
but I think...
okay.
Well, you said you were going to pass the baton.
You can have the baton.
I think a lot of people are just scared for what this means, because there's no way to regulate something that can't be attributed to a person.
Yes.
So as soon as there's this ambiguity, because there's already ambiguity, if I did accidentally, just by memory, draw something that it was too similar to someone else's something, how can you prove maybe that I was trying to rip it off, or if I was just overly inspired? but at least you know to point the finger at me.
Right.
And the other problem is a lot of people get involved in this drama that is already complex without wanting to, because a lot of people are doing what they did with the NFTs, where they steal people's art without permission, and they load it into the algorithm as a basis for them to learn from. And people are like, no, I don't want to be into this, but people are just doing it because, I mean, it's just an image. It's like NFTs. Oops. I mean, like, that's a scary thing to think. We were the good guys being like, oh, screenshot your NFT. And it's like, oh, screenshotted your work. It's in an AI now. It's like now the tables are turned. Now the bad guys are doing it.
It's in an AI.
It's in an AI database.
It's built into a neural network.
Yes,
There
there we
the
go.
neurons.
Smart guy.
Well, what I was gonna say is, so far, what I've seen, and this, I always get strange looks when I say this, but what I've seen so far, of illustrative image generating AI in particular, the language model AI has been pretty impressive, like ChatGPT and the programming can do, but the image generating AI, honestly,
have you seen the video generating?
No, I have seen.
They
a little
look
bit
like
of it.
dreams,
Yeah,
dude.
it's pretty cool.
It scares me. That actually scares me because it makes me think that they really are starting to mimic human brains. Because obviously, when you imagine something in your head, it doesn't look like how you see with your eyes. But it's scary. It looks like how you imagine things in your head. If you could actually put that on like a screen.
Well, I was just gonna say the image generative AIs so far have not been that impressive to me on it, honestly.
Anytime they're making art, dude, it's always anime.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Because cartoon styles or abstract styles or expressionist styles involve multi-layered thinking, abstraction. They need symbolism, stuff that they can't comprehend. They can't see it as a physical object.
Yeah.
They can't even draw fingers.
Yeah, that's what well, you're taking everything I'm gonna say, so I'm kind of running out of things to say.
I am the artist, and this is our podcast, not yours.
It's not impressive to me. The most impressive things I've seen so far have been like Baroque style paintings, kind of things that it can generate. Yeah. But most of what I see people using it for is like actual like degenerates on Twitter just making AI art of big booby anime girls and stuff.
Big titty goth girl.
Yeah, like that's all it is. That is
big titty anime waifu.
The 90% of what I have seen so far of AI art has been that. And
dude, what if anime takes down AI? What if they get so overloaded with anime that it malfunctions?
That's what I was gonna say.
Anime destroys AI.
That's what I was gonna say. People are feeding too much anime into it, and it's only gonna.
What is this? This is an anime. They start giving it like cartoons and AI is actual realistic portraits.
It's like when you get a lobotomy, but for an AI, it's cutting out the part of its brain that can do anything other than make anime waifus. And so, like, I legit, but in reality.
I've seen images where they like feed in like an actual picture into like, and then have it.
And makes it AI,
and
an
it
anime
gives
girl.
them boobs.
Yeah, it finds
them
any
giant
object.
honkers.
Yeah, it finds any two.
If you're holding a beach ball, that's your honking now.
Yeah. Well said. but really, there's artists that I follow that like their style is very unique to them. And there are not many other artists that I know of that have anything similar to the same style. And a lot of them are like anime adjacent. Like they're simple cartoonish illustrations, but it's the kind of stuff that
I like people who can use detail and stylization.
Yeah,
something that doesn't look like you're just trying to draw over a 3D model.
I have never seen and doubt I could ever get an AI to generate an image in a style that mimics that kind of style from certain artists. And so to me, so far, it hasn't been that impressive because it's proved to be very limited. It can make some pretty crazy looking like actual like stuff that looks like actual like anime screen caps, but beyond that I haven't seen anything that's that crazy. What go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say this is where people are scared though, because this is the closest it's come to AI replacing art. I don't think you've heard of this. It was Corridor Digital, I think.
Game company?
No, it's they're like CGI video makers on YouTube.
Oh.
I used to be I guess I am still big fans of them, but they've been making this entire thing that's basically live action recording, and then they feed each frame into the AI, and they turn it into an anime, basically.
Uh-huh.
And that is obviously the farthest it has ever gone. And people are like livid about it, because they are like, here's the thing. A lot of people are using this now, like them, and they've gone on record saying this. They've said that animation is one of the least democratized, that was the word they used, industries, because you have to have talent to get in on it. And they're saying, we don't have animation talent, but we want to make an anime. Now we can. And in a way, I kind of understand them, and I feel like every artist should, because I know I'm not the only one who's thought of this. I've heard people say this exact same thing on Twitter and videos, everything. Every artist wishes, man, I just wish the thoughts in my head could be on paper.
Yeah.
Well, be careful what you wish for. Now, and I feel, I have to look back and I have to feel like, if you showed Michelangelo 3D sculpting technology today, he'd be like, you can just undo your mistakes. This is the end of art.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of can't blame them because this is some people's only outlet for art, and it's genuinely making it easier, and it still looks good.
That's what I was going to say. This is like the whole...
They're not completely wrong.
This is like the now decades-old debate between digital versus traditional art that some people still complain, like...
it's just the next step.
You can draw on an iPad, but can you even pick up a paper and pencil? Like,
I think the problem is this AI art, it's not a matter of right or wrong, it's a matter of how you implement it is right or wrong.
Well, I don't think...
We need to think about this, the nuance of like how to credit people, because their work are being fed into this machine.
Right.
They are a part of it.
That's the problem. I don't think using the tools... let's abstract this for a second. Let's assume that the tool itself can generate stuff without stealing other people's work.
Yes.
Let's just ignore that part and just talk about the output that it generates.
Which again, even the human brain technically can't do that. We're all inspired by things we've seen.
I see nothing wrong with using AI to create art. I've used my own pseudo like programmatical things that like manipulate images and whatever, and you could consider that art, and it's being produced by a computer. I see nothing wrong with doing that kind of stuff to create art, and people do it even with traditional art. Like they'll like use buckets spinning around with paint to like create spirals and stuff, and it's like not directly done with their hand. You know, it's a tool.
Yeah.
So it's like that seems like such a weird line to say like it's
yeah,
wrong in some way.
I'm a digital artist too. I do it to add like cool shading things, cool texture effects.
We use all kind of tools,
but like that's not me. I can't do that.
Yeah, with all kinds of tools, we use digital things. Literally noise removal from audio, that kind of stuff. Like things
that's what we're gonna do with this.
Improve the quality of stuff, and we use those tools all the time. So I don't see a problem with creating AI artwork. However, using the AI without people's permission, using their artwork as the basis for which it creates its neural network to be able to produce output, that's a serious problem, because then what it's creating...
It would be nice if they could get someone to create basic, specifically like handmade for the algorithm, like basic template sketches, and have them be credited as the artist, and them and like a few other people feed directly into this. That's what it should be. Opt in.
That's what it should be.
That's the problem. It's like NFTs though. There is a way you could implement this where it wouldn't be so big of a problem, but people are just taking the easy route and just grabbing everything.
The problem, I think, is that it's the classic problem with programmers, which is they can make something like a neural network that generates images, but they are so bad at art themselves.
Yes.
But if these people,
unless you're me,
if the people that are creating these artificial intelligence systems partnered with artists, like you said, then what they could do is create AI, literally distributable. Is that the right? Distributable artificial intelligence applications. They could actually sell them, or make them free if they want to, but actually create full applications, whole packages that are similar to like Vocaloids.
Yeah.
Where it creates, you use a Vocaloid, it's somebody's actual voice.
Yeah, that was that's the example I'm saying. It was handmade to be used in these programs.
Like a Vocaloid, somebody's voice, but then it's altered and you can use it to make your own songs out of it. I think they should sell them like part and parcel as one big unit and say this is like the sketch style AI package, and you can download this application to create this certain style of artworks, and it's trained based on this data by this artist.
And then, but that's the problem though, where it's like the good guys NFT move of screenshotted it anyway has now been flipped on its head to the bad guys. Like, you can't stop them from stealing your art. There's no way to know if they could, and there's nothing to stop them from not crediting you.
But if we want to tackle the actual issue of AI art itself, first of all, I don't think it's quite a bridge that needs to be crossed yet. And that's because I've seen, and this goes the same with the language model AIs like ChatGPT, I've seen plenty of people already able to create applications that can, with pretty high confidence, estimate or predict whether an image or text is AI generated or human generated. They already have stuff like that. I've seen people program it themselves, so I know it can't be outlandishly difficult. I've seen people create like one person called it a sniffer, an AI sniffer, and you can give it an image, it'll scan it, and it can say with a certain amount of confidence actually even which type of AI.
But I'm looking if it's AI.
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Which AI model it was made from. It can predict even like if it's Stable Diffusion versus DALL-E.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can even know down to that level shows that there's traces in the output that show what it was trained on and what is producing it. So at this point, I'm not too concerned about it being indiscernible from human work. When it does, it's hard to say what you have to do there. But I think the best way is
just people need to be open about whether or not they're actually making this stuff
I think
themselves,
the thing is,
or whether
there
it's AI
could be
generated.
a point. I think the thing is, even if it gets to the point where it could be indiscernible, it'll never fulfill the true role, because eventually, if you really want something to look the way it is in your head, you're gonna. It's an exponential, like asymptotal reaching to where you're gonna have to give it enough prompts to the point where you might as well make the art yourself anyway.
Yeah.
Like you're giving it more and more instructions, and it's like, well, I've already made half the piece myself.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I don't ever see it realistically used to.
So it's like they're calling it non-democratized.
I cannot get a single
I'm
sentence
sorry.
finished.
They're calling it non-democratized, but really they've just democratized it to the AI. The same problems they'd have with an animator saying, I don't really like that. Could you make it more like this? They now have to communicate to a much less understanding, faceless AI.
Yes, as I was saying, I don't think that it has, or probably will for at least a long time, reach a point where it's built to make its own robust artwork on its own volition. You have to train it with something first of all, and even then, the output it makes is not good enough to be something unique on its own. But I like the example you gave of the animation studio, using it as a sort of transformative thing.
Yeah.
That, I think, is really cool, and there, it's not creating something completely on its own. You create something as a baseline, and you're using it as a transformative tool, kind of like any other sort of, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, filters on Instagram. Like, it's the classic, like, you're taking original work and you're transmuting it in some way. And the thing is about AIs like that is that is mostly computational program. I mean, at the base level, all neural networks are computational. Like, they're deterministic. There is no real insight, like we said, happening. Computers are deterministic. So there's input and there's output.
Oh, we passed the 2 hour, 22 minute, and 22 second mark.
Well,
you want to keep going?
Approximately. So we can finish off with this. But
It wouldn't have been anyways, because we have to add an intro somewhere.
what was I saying? The thing about transformative versus generative is that transforming it, you're taking a baseline, and it's just using some intelligent tool to transform that. And that's literally, like you said, really it's no different than modern tools in modern digital art editors of any kind, whether it's visual, audio, anything. It's a transformative tool. And it doesn't have to be trained on somebody else's artwork and trained to recreate it. It's not recreating, it's just transforming. It's like applying a filter. Versus generative is trained on someone's artwork and it's creating its own stuff. It's not transforming anything, and you're not doing any real work other than prompting it, and it's creating something on its own.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge difference between those two.
Yeah, that's why I do think people are overreacting about the example I gave, because it's essentially a filter. But the reason why they're upset about it is because the program it's based off is still using other people's art, which could be improperly used. And that's why I think that's really what we need to crack down on. But it's a problem because it's a lot like technology piracy nowadays. How are you ever going to keep track of it? How are you ever going to mandate this?
It's definitely not realistic. And, I mean, that's a problem that I don't think anybody really has a solution to.
It's sort of just a sad thing we have to accept, because for the longest time, when stuff like media being like free to grab like this, it's always been kicking up, you know? I pirated this video game from this big company. Oh, these people don't need my money for their album. Yeah. I got it off of whatever. But now it's kicking in all directions.
The phrase is definitely punching.
Oh.
But you got it with
I don't. It hurts just as much.
Elbowing, maybe, perhaps.
But that is the other thing. I definitely don't want people to overreact, especially when it comes to people's intentions, because there is some philosophical debate to be had about their phrasing about the democratization of animation. That does sit wrong with me, and I'm not sure how I would like people to act on that philosophy in the future. But there are some people who they just see anything vaguely AI art these days. And they're like, they block them out of their lives.
Yeah.
There are people, have you seen those videos on YouTube, like blank cartoon series or video game series as an 80s sitcom or as a dark fantasy film?
Yeah.
Hilarious, funny. People in the comments will be like, some people have to shut down their comments, make like serious like apology or rebuttal videos or something. They'll be in the comments saying, you're feeding into a terrible system. You're stealing from people's art. And it's like, they're just making funny pictures. And they can't even steal that much, because I don't think somebody specifically drew Peter Griffin as a realistic human person. I don't think that's something that they exactly stole, because it's from a...
Yeah. Well, another thing...
But that is something worth noting. I wanted to say this too before we move on to whatever you were going to say, is I have seen people, this is the thing that scares me the most, is when you just do like really random prompts, especially not like super complex ones, there are times when we'll literally spit out a slightly edited version of an existing work by a person.
Yeah.
And I would hate that. That's literally plagiarism. But it's from someone who can't be, again, pointed at. It's a constructed entity that isn't human. And it's also something that's like impossible to discern because, you know, how close does it have to be plagiarism? And also the computer doesn't know it's plagiarizing. It doesn't know what that is. It doesn't understand.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is you mentioned
I'm
earlier.
gonna eat a Mario
like,
gummy?
Well, everybody bases their work, their inspiration by seeing other people's art. So then, like, where do you draw the line? But also you could say with AI is like, who is it actually hurting? If what it's generating is a completely transformed, like it doesn't resemble any one person's art, maybe somewhat resembles the style, but again, nobody owns a style.
Yeah.
So if it's not directly ripping off of their work, as in it's producing that, then is it actually hurting them versus a human doing the same thing? But something I just thought of, which is really interesting, is I do see artists will say in their bio sometimes like, no, don't trace my art.
Yeah.
And that's been a thing for a while. Like,
Yeah.
don't just trace my art directly, like repost my art and you just like copying it.
Yeah.
Which I guess some people will do just for
And
practice.
now they've updated to it. Do not feed into
so
any
now
AI.
it's like the same thing, but with AI. So I guess the problem always existed. It's
Yeah.
it's just a harder opponent to beat this time.
Yeah. The challenge has become greater. But, oh, no, I've forgotten my closing remark. Oh, yeah, this is my closing remark. Okay.
We'll close on this one then, because we're about done for this episode. But I have topics
guys,
for
we
next
could
time.
keep going. We're going, yeah.
Well, we got topics for next time then.
Yeah, dude, I
And
have so much.
I have to pee so bad. So yeah,
We gotta... Wait, hold
hit me
on.
with this closing argument.
Dude, we could record another one just before you leave.
Yeah, we could do that. But
Okay.
hit me with a closing argument.
Oh, closing argument. I was just gonna say this. I've seen a lot of videos. Like, this has actually popped up. It's like a trend.
I thought you wanted some outro music. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna talk about more Mario the next one. I didn't get all my thoughts out. There have been like a genre of videos popping up about like telling artists what they can do to like not be replaced by AI, and I've been watching them. But here's what I'm saying to just the standard artist who's just being an artist as a
Learn
living-
how to draw hands.
Well, yes, that. But go for stylized art, and I'm not even saying, oh, you do detailed art, learn to draw cartoons. This is what I said earlier.
Expressionism.
Yes, there are a lot of people who their AI or their anime art already looks like it was made like from some sort of like rigged template. Like it's literally, it looks like it came from well, that's honestly my problem I have with anime in general. I keep getting the words mixed up because they have some of the same letters. That's my problem with anime in general, is a lot of the style looks the same. Like there is not a lot of variance in anime style. Not always. There are some, but a lot of them are. And that goes for people who draw that style. Learn to try and draw some sort of abstraction. Make your style unique. Don't make a style that you can look at and be like, oh, it's anime. Be like, oh, that's your art.
Right.
You know? And even if you draw like really detailed, realistic looking stuff, I have seen people who have drawn stuff like this and I've been like, that's incredible. How do they do that? But dang, it's boring. Like you could have just 3D modeled that.
I was gonna say that I've seen some people draw like anime style art that is like absurdly like the rendering, as they call it, like the shading and the coloring and everything. It's absurd how good it is, but it's like
make a 3D model,
but
bro.
I could never remember like the name of the artist because it's unremarkable. But I do want to clarify, none of this that you're saying is like victim blaming the artist for getting their art stolen.
Yeah, this is advice. But it is. I've genuinely always thought that art is better this way if you stylize it, and that's why the AI art
unique,
looks so
personal.
boring too. I was also going to say this when you were talking about things that can tell if it's AI or not. When I'm looking for if it's AI or not, I look in the background and I see if there's a single object other than like a tree.
Yeah.
They don't know how to do that.
Yeah, the backgrounds are very weird looking.
Yeah. But so yeah, learn to stylize. If it's super detailed, do something like with perspective, like a fisheye lens type thing. I mean, you could do that in 3D modeling, but that's not the kind of thing an AI would come up with. They can't have those abstract stylizational ideas. Do things that sort of break, something that you couldn't do if you were just doing a basic 3D model render with basic lighting.
Yeah.
Stylize the textures, the background, the way the lighting looks, something that can only be done in a drawing. And not only will it be something that can't be replaced by AI, it'll just look really cool.
And here's what I'll say to add on to that and also to close is, how impressive your art is depends on the medium.
Yeah.
And so that's the beef that traditional artists would have with digital artists at first, was that it's easier to create what traditional art can make. With digital art, you can undo. If you make a mistake, you can erase easily. So if you're one of those people who can draw super realistic shading and everything, but like it's the same kind of stuff that an AI could spit out, if you can do that with pencil and paper or a paint and a canvas, that is extremely impressive. It's just as impressive. So if you could whip something out and draw it physically, then it's really impressive. But the medium, if you're going to do it digitally, the medium, like the reality of it is that the medium is evolving, and now the tools are there to do that with ease. So it's not that the fact that you can do it isn't impressive. But why even put in the effort to do it if there's the tools to do it for you? And not necessarily why, but obviously people are not going to see it as impressive because the tools already exist to do it. It's like doing something the hard way when there's an easier way. Yeah, maybe, okay, it's cool that you did it the hard way, I guess, but like, why not? Why didn't you do it the easy way? People are going to think that. Like, they're not going to think it's as impressive. So I don't think it's that what the artist can do is less impressive, but it's just the reality that the medium is going to evolve, the platform is going to evolve and change, and in some way you're going to have to do something that is unreplicatable, personal to you, in some way impressive because it can't be replicated by the tools alone, which I think is basically what you were saying.
Yes.
But I do think that
it's in our human nature to be unique.
It doesn't make...
You robots don't know that.
Like, it doesn't make some of the things that you can do less impressive.
Exactly.
But I think the impressiveness has to come with some kind of personality, something to set it apart as well.
Exactly.
But, you know, again, if somebody could, like, sketch out a caricature of me that's... Or not a caricature, a realistic sketch of me, like, in front of my eyes, that would still be impressive, even if an AI could do it. Or even if, that's the thing, I could upload a picture of myself, do, like, a sketch filter on Photoshop, and it would do the same thing. But it's impressive when you do it
I've seen people draw things so detailed they look like photographs.
Yeah, it's insane.
But depending on the context of the picture, it's like, why not just take a photograph?
Exactly.
If it's something that can't be photographed, or that can't be generated in something like that, then I'm like, why even bother? You have the ability as a human being to conceptualize things that only could be created through your sketch work.
Exactly.
Not through photography or through generation. By the way, if you heard all that noise before, that was our garage door. That was our garage door opening. Somebody's about to bust through the door and not know we're recording. There we go. There it is.
It happened?
Shh, we're recording a podcast.
So anyways...
This is a funny way to end it.
That's the end, though. Yeah, so...
Yeah, so join us next time when we talk a little bit more about... Dude, we didn't even talk about the end of the world.
Oh, that's a big one that we missed. Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the apocalypse. More on Armageddon and more on Mario. Next podcast.
Mario-geddon. That wasn't that good.
Amarogeddon.
Less about Elon Musk also.
Oh yeah, plenty less. Don't worry. See more of us next Tuesday, hopefully.
The one after, the one after this one, probably, hopefully.
And don't forget to do whatever you want. I don't like saying that.
Drop some AI art in the reply.
Drop some AI art.
I wonder when...
No, drop some ASCII art in the comments. That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I'm a fan of that. Computers, I mean, well, I'm sure a computer could do that. But it doesn't have the same flair, you know? Like, you can tell.
If YouTube never adds image comments, then ASCII art will be the best that you can produce with the medium. There you go.
Bro. It's all put into perspective. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Poetic
exactly.
Ending. Okay, well, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You just thumbs up to the screen. This is the right button, right?
Yeah.